Good afternoon and welcome to Lowell Park. My name's Jacob Cohen. I'm here with last night's starter Jackson Wolf and Caleb Kaufman. Last night Jackson went 4 innings, 6 strikeouts, and gave up only 1 hit. To turn it over today, however, Cotuit will be facing the YD Red Sox at Lowell Park today. A matchup they're really looking forward to. We're going to see some interesting pitching today against a strong hitting YD team. But first, for last night's recap, I'm going to turn it over to Caleb.
So to compliment Jackson's stellar outing on the mound last night, the offense also came through, putting up 10 runs in their 10-3 win at Chatham. Rajanu led off the game for the Kettleers and went 4 for 5 with 3 runs in the outing. And then also had Nick Gonzalez go 3 for 5 with 3 RBIs in the game. Just constant production from him and Raj since the All-Star break. Offense has been clicking since then. And in the top of the order with Gonzalez, Merv, and New, they went 11 for 16 in the game with 7 RBIs. And even though the pitching was not always happy with the umpires, as Tom Holliday and Dennis Cook both got ejected, both teams combined for 20 strikeouts in the game. So a little bit sloppy at times. I'm sure Jackson really loved it from his side of things. What did you think about the pitching last night in the strike zone?
I worry about myself. I try to, just put the ball in the strike zone. But it's some days you have it, some days you don't. But you got to work with what you got on the days you don't. So that's what I did last night.
And then looking towards today, as Jacob said, we're playing Yarmouth Dennis here at Lowell Park. And what do you have previewing for that, Jacob?
So yeah, Caleb, we were pretty solid last night in a 10-3 win at Chatham. Looking ahead to today's matchup against YD, this is the first time we're playing the Red Sox since Father's Day, June 16th, and the first time we're meeting them at Lowell Park since day 1 of the season. So 39 games later, things have really shuffled around since then, so I'm going to take you through a little bit of the statistics for both teams. YD at the plate, they're second in the league with a .264 team batting average, only 11 points above Cotuit's at .253. They got on base at about the same rate as Cotuit as well, with both teams having on-base percentages of around .350. And something that bodes well for Cotuit is that while YD is best in the league at home, sporting a 13-5 record, they're pretty spotty 8-11 on the road. While Cotuit's been pretty strong at Lowell Park, they have a 10-7 record here, showing they really feed off of the home crowd, and I think that's really looking up for Cotuit today. I think they'll be able to take it to the Red Sox with that advantage in hand. Looking to the pitching for YD, it's a different story than at the plate. They have the second highest team ERA in the league at 4.59. They allow a ton of home runs, second most in the league, giving up 34. And we've seen that Cotuit can really take it to them and hit a lot. In the second game of the doubleheader at Red Wilson Field, we hit 4 bombs off of them. So it's a great opportunity for, as you said, Anu and Gonzalez, who've been hot at the top of the order, to maybe put one over the fence and bring the fans to their feet. Today's starter, Brady Corrigan, has also been contributing, unfortunately, to that poor ERA. His ERA is above the team's average by more than 2 points, sitting at 6.75. And opponents have hit .267 against him this season. So that's also something that's looking up for Cotuit. More specifically, in terms of YD's performance at the plate, Austin Wells, Riley King, and Wyatt Young are the big names to look for, and who Cotuit is going to have to consider very dangerous and prepare for here. Wells has hit 7 home runs on the season, same as our very own Nick Gonzalez. All 3 of those guys are batting over .325. They get on base a lot. And Riley King and Wyatt Young, they've sustained those averages through over 30 games played this season. And those 2 aren't power hitters, but they are contact hitters. They don't strike out a lot. Wyatt Young can work a lot of walks, just like Nick Gonzalez. So, Cotuit's pitching staff is really going to have to keep an eye on them and, throw really well in the zone today. Looking ahead a little to Cotuit's pitching today, Chris Holcomb is getting the start today. That's not a name you're going to hear a lot getting the start for Cotuit. Usually comes in as a reliever, which tells you that today is going to be a bullpen day for the Cotuit pitching staff. Pretty good strategy by Coach Roberts, I must say, knowing that we're already in the playoffs, have to save those arms to get really good starts early on in the playoffs. So another thing, actually, is that the last time we had a bullpen game, unfortunately, that was the 6-2 loss to Hyannis. So there are pros and cons to how the pitching strategy is looking today. But for a bit more in-depth analysis on today's starter, Chris Holcomb, I'm going to throw it over again to Jackson Wolf.
As you were talking about, we play really well at home, and this hometown crowd really comes out and supports us. Guys are back, and having Chris Holcomb out there on the mound, being a Barnstable guy, I mean, there's nothing more these fans can root for. So he's going to go out there and show you that wipeout slider, that nice fastball, and he's really going to have the advantage today. YD's got that lefty-heavy lineup, so he's going to go out there and do his thing as long as he can, and we got just as good guys to follow him up. So it's going to be a good day for the Killers.
Well, we're all looking forward to it out here. On behalf of Caleb Kaufman, Jackson Wolf, I'm Jacob Cohen, and that's all we have. We're going to send it back up to our broadcasters in the booth, Sam Niederman and Aram Layton, for their call and their thoughts about the game.
Hello, and welcome to Lowell Park. We got a big matchup today between YD and Cotuit. It's going to be a good one. Two teams that have not played each other in about a month. It feels like it's been an eternity. YD comes into the game 21-16-3. Cotuit, after the win yesterday, they are 19-16-4. Cotuit trounced Chatham in yesterday's ball game, a big win over Chatham at Veterans Field. They won by a score of 10-3. Sam, they piled together 15 hits, and it was just a singles party before they broke it open, something we haven't seen from the Kettleers. Their first 9 hits were singles.
Yeah, it was a contact clinic for Cotuit yesterday, Aram. A very encouraging performance at the plate for Mike Roberts' side. One of their best of the season, and trust me, they've had a few of them. You can discount the Hyannis and the Brewster ones. That one might have been their best all-around performance at the plate. The top of this order raked it. Arajanu, Nick Gonzalez, and Matt Mervis combining for 7 of the 10 runs driven in. They were terrific, and really the whole lineup brought something to the table.
It was a weird one, a wacky one. Of course, we had 4 players on the Kettleer lineup with 3 hits. Arajanu had 3 singles. Nick Gonzalez had 3 hits, including a triple. Matt Mervis had 3 hits. And Adam Oviedo had 3 hits of his own as well. Just an offensive explosion. But 2 coaches were tossed, both from Chatham. Tom Holliday was tossed, the head coach, and then Dennis Cook, the pitching coach, was tossed. It was a weird game, some interesting decisions by the umpires to toss so easily, and a lot of walks. Jackson Wolf started the game. He went 4 innings, only gave up the 2 runs. He struck out 6, but he walked 6. And it seemed like there was an inconsistent zone from Dave Viveros, a home plate umpire, that was affecting the game in that category.
Yeah, the zone did not help out any of the pitchers last night, whether they be from the Kettleers or from Chatham. But Cotuit was able to dance around the 9 walks given out by the staff. Not something that you'd want to see, but the fact that they were able to work around it is a positive you could spin on it. And you look at the way that the Kettleers have played in the last 2 games. The offense has been aggressive. They've attacked at the plate. That is very encouraging at this point in the season. They're trending in the right direction, and they've now beaten 2 of the best teams in the league, one of the best offenses in Wareham and one of the best pitching staffs in Chatham. Those 2 teams could very well be in their way of a Cape League postseason run. If they beat YD today, they'll be in really good shape for the home stretch.
And a good offense today with YD. It's been a while since the Kettleers have seen them, but they have 2 of the best hitters in the entire Cape League, with Wyatt Young, who leads the Cape League in batting average, and then you have Austin Wells, who looks like one of the better pro prospects, and maybe the only guy that can give Nick Gonzalez a run for his money in the MVP category. Wells went 4 for 4 in their 13-7 win over Harwich yesterday. YD piled together 19 hits. We didn't think anybody would top the Kettleers 15 last night, but it was YD who actually outslugged the Kettleers.
Yeah, YD had another great offensive output last night, too. 19 hits for 13 runs. This is a stellar lineup, and Scott Pickler always knows how to generate offense. Second in the league in batting with a .264 team average. 200 runs scored. That's second in the league. They lead the league in on-base percentage with a .354 mark. A well-rounded offense that has a lot of pop with some of the guys you mentioned. Wyatt Young could be the batting champion. He's toe-to-toe with Nick Gonzalez. And then you've got the top pro prospect candidate in Austin Wells, who's been superb just coming off his freshman season at Arizona.
We're going to kick it to an interview with Coach Roberts from before the game, and then on the other side of the break, we'll be ready for first pitch here at Lowell Park.
Here with Coach Roberts at Lowell Park, the Kettleers are back at home against the YD Red Sox today, coming off a huge win last night at Chatham, winning 10-3. Coach, the offense was clicking on all cylinders. What did you make of your team's attack at the plate?
Well, it's the first day in a long time that we've really attacked as a team. I can't tell you for sure if having 3 hours of extra BP yesterday in an individualized manner, not in a group manner, helped us that much. But several of the players were able to transition from what we were working on in practice to the game. And again, I think you saw probably as you were broadcasting that there were a lot of flat line drives hit last night, and that's what we were trying to work on. It doesn't always happen, and it didn't happen for every player, but it did happen for several, and it happened in key moments.
Well, going further into that point, 9 of the first hits were singles. We were talking about how this team is powerful, usually lives and dies by the long ball. Is that something specific in the approach that you enforce on your team, or is that just something that kind of was a fluke thing yesterday?
That was, as far as 9 singles, it wasn't a fluke, because what we were trying to do is our goal in practice was we were trying to drive the ball flat up against the fence. And so now we're doing it against a pitching machine yesterday in practice and doing it well. But last night, probably one of the things I was very pleased with was Chatham's starting pitcher, a right-hander, very good, nice arm, good changeup in the first inning, and we adjusted and hit some balls really hard. And then they bring in the left-hander from Vanderbilt, who's throwing 94, 95, and the guys still kept the bat flat, kept their backside turning, and hit the ball really hard. So I thought we adapted to 2 really good pitchers yesterday, and that gives you tremendous optimism when you're facing, I'm not going to say maybe they're the best pitchers in the league, I really don't know, but they're 2 really good arms, I do know that, and they've been successful. And so I was just pleased the way our guys approached the game offensively last night.
We're down to the last 5 games of the regular season. Postseason is already in the picture, just a couple of seeding things to work out. How do you plan to manage your team in terms of energy and pitching going forward?
Well, I think our energy's fine. One of the nice things, it's 60 to 80 degrees up here right now, nice breeze. Nobody's just dying with heat, and so I think that mentally is refreshing. Most of these guys come from places it's pretty hot, and you're saying, "Oh man, it's 80 degrees," and I'm not even sweating much with this nice breeze here by the Cotuit Bay. So, the energy-wise, I'm not too worried about. I think again, late in the year, you want to try to keep guys mentally focused. And that's what we were doing with the extra BP yesterday, is trying to stay mentally focused first. Okay, what are we working on? Why are we working on it? Also, will it help you when you go back to school? And that's a goal of mine always, is to try to help each player to return to their college or university. And the coach looks at them and say, wow, you made a couple of really good adjustments this summer. And I like what the adjustments you've made, and I think that's a huge part of my job. So, we're still working on those adjustments. Pitching-wise, I think, using your word manage, I think that is the biggest place that you've got to manage right now. With 5 games in 4 days and then the playoffs, you got to be really careful in the usage of that. And you've probably seen a couple of guys for the last time prior to the playoffs, and so that'll push us as we get into these 5 games to see kind of who's going to pick up the innings.
All righty, Coach. Thank you so much. Good luck today.
Okay, you're welcome.
Well, you heard Coach. It's going to be an interesting one on how we see how he will handle his pitching staff today. Starting the ball game for the Kettleers is Chris Holcomb. It looks like it could be a little bit of a bullpen committee for both teams. On the other side is Brady Corrigan, who has not gone more than a couple innings the entire summer. So between those two, he expects probably a brief start, and then it's going to go into the bullpen. For Chris Holcomb, he is making his 3rd start of the season, his 10th appearance. He's tossed 16 innings. He's struck out 14, walked 10, and surrendered 17 hits. He's 1-1. With a 2.25 ERA, the left-hander from Tulane will be a senior. He's started a couple games more recently, Sam. Mostly works out of the bullpen in most of his outings, 7 of the 10 now. But a guy that's really good at getting lefties out, still working on getting righties out at the same effectiveness, but a really nice slow curveball and a fastball in the high 80s that he'll spot up.
Yeah, he's got a really nice curveball that you mentioned, Aram, that'll highlight his good mix of breaking pitches. And Cotuit needs him today. We just talked with Coach before the game. Managing pitchers is a big key with only 5 more games to go in the regular year. You got to make sure that you preserve your top-tier arms, and you got to make sure that the guys that do go out there keep on developing and make it worth their time. That way the Kettleers can pick up some wins. There's still a number 2 seed at stake, a home field advantage in the first round of the playoffs at stake, and a couple of games against Falmouth and Wareham still to be played that'll decide that. So you got to have good pitching if you want to win games. And you don't want to lose your team if you have lulls of games with tough pitching, and Chris Holcomb is a candidate to keep the Kettleers on track over these last couple of wins, and he can do that in a starting role, which he's done okay in so far this season.
Holcomb picked up an unlucky loss against Hyannis in his last outing here at home on July 20th. Say unlucky because he only gave up 1 run in an inning and 2/3, and that was unearned. He struck out 3 against the Harbor Hawks, and now he'll get ready to face a Red Sox lineup that's led off by Wyatt Young, who leads the entire Cape League in batting. Brad Beasley bats second, Austin Wells third. Noah Campbell in the cleanup spot, Carson Taylor bats fifth, Riley King sixth, Tate Samuelson seventh, Noah Cardenas eighth, and Sam Hall ninth. The first pitch to Young misses outside. Young bats from the left side from Pepperdine. The shortstop has been a rock at the top of the order for this ball club. Leads the entire Cape League with a .352 batting average. 43 for 122. The All-Star has been great as he takes another one away. It's 2-0. He's hit for a little bit of power, 6 doubles, 2 triples, and a home run. He's driven in 23 in that leadoff spot. Strike on the outside corner. And it's 2-1 now. Holcomb out of the windup, kicks and deals the 2-1. A curveball inside. So now it's 3-1. And check that, the batter's actually Jake Palmer. A last-second switch up in the lineup. Wyatt Young scratched, and Palmer, who bats from the left side, awaits the 3-1 pitch. It's ball 4. Holcomb walks the first batter he faces, so a last-minute switch-up to put Jake Palmer in the lineup. He walks in the leadoff spot. Not sure why the leading batter in all of the Cape League, Wyatt Young, was scratched, but we'll see if we can get some more information on that as the game goes on.
Yeah, interesting move by Scott Pickler. He is kind of notorious for going into the yard with 2 lineups in his hand, and then he'll watch BP and switch it up, but he decides to go with Palmer in the leadoff spot. Don't know if Wyatt Young is still in the lineup, maybe just not in his traditional leadoff role, but I've got to imagine it's a scratch.
So Jake Palmer aboard. He's on first. He walked on 5 pitches, and now it's Brad Beasley. The center fielder bats from the right side. Pickoff over to first base. He was leaning, but he just dives back ahead of the throw. So we'll see where Palmer fits into the defensive situation out there for YD. Wyatt Young was supposed to play shortstop today. Another throw over to first. Nothing doing. Beasley, the center fielder from Cal Poly. It's a line drive, a backhand snag by Schmidt. He goes to second for 1. The turn in time, a double play, and what a play at the hot corner by Casey Schmidt, and a quick turn by Nick Gonzalez, and they erase the base runner, and there's 2 outs here in the first inning.
Schmidt is a wall over there at third base. Coach has said it once before. He is a big league caliber third baseman, especially in the field. Not the first time that we've seen him turn up with a web gem.
So not only does he rob Beasley of extra bases, he turns 2, and now there's nobody aboard for Austin Wells, the switch hitter. Big swing at a breaking ball, 0-1. Wells, the switch hitter from Arizona. Bats from the left side. Takes a curveball on the outside corner, just misses. 1-1. Wells has been one of the focal points of this offense. 4 for 4 in yesterday's win over Harwich. They won 13-7. Fastball on the outside corner. It's a strike, 1-2. Wells is trailing right behind Nick Gonzalez in just about every single offensive category. He's tied with Gonzalez in home runs. Right behind him in extra base hits with 18. Gonzalez has 20. 1-2 curveball, just misses away. 2-2. Just 69 on the bender there from Holcomb. He doesn't throw it much harder than that. The 2-2 to Wells. Popped up in the infield, should be playable. Looks like the first baseman, Mervis, calls for it. He ranges into the infield and makes the grab for out number 3. So Chris Holcomb able to escape after the leadoff walk. He retires the next 2, including the double play by Brad Beasley, and will go into the bottom of the first, still scoreless here at Lowell Park. Home half of the first, Chris Holcomb was able to work a 1-2-3 inning after walking the leadoff batter Jake Palmer. And the Kettleers will face Brady Corrigan, a right-handed pitcher. The lineup for the Kettleers a little different than yesterday's offensive explosion, but similar at the top with Arajanu in the leadoff spot, the DH. Third game in a row at the top of the order. Nick Gonzalez bats second, plays second. Matt Mervis plays first and bats third. Mason McCorder in the cleanup spot playing left field for the first time this season. Casey Schmidt, who made that dazzling play at third, bats fifth. Parker Chavers in center field bats sixth. Colton Kessler gets to start behind the dish today, batting seventh. Robbie Martin enters the lineup playing right field and batting eighth. And Adam Oviedo, the shortstop, rounds things out at 9. A little on Corrigan. He's only thrown 10 2/3 innings this year, no record, a 6.75 ERA, making his 10th appearance. He struck out 10 and walked 9. He has not pitched more than 2 innings in any outing this season. Went just a third of an inning in his last outing, the 24th, against Chatham. Gave up a hit and walked 2. So he'll get Arajanu, the switch hitter, batting from the left side against the righty. Anu has been red hot in that leadoff spot as he takes a fastball up and out for ball 1. Anu had 4 hits in yesterday's ball game, all 4 singles. A 3-run shot the day before that here at Cotuit. Line drive right at the shortstop. He makes the grab. That was Hall, but a good piece by Anu, who still is locked in. That one just didn't have eyes.
Yeah, it was a good hit from Anu. An aggressive approach early, right? What Coach Roberts wants. Did you talk about him coming on over the last couple of games, armed 2 for 3 with a 3-run dinger a couple days ago, and then, of course, last night 4 for 5, all 4 hits being singles, and they all came in 4 consecutive at-bats.
And here's Nick Gonzalez, who had a great game yesterday as well, but who didn't for the Kettleers. Gonzalez had 3 hits, 2 singles, and an RBI triple. He drove in 3 runs in that game, was also hit by a pitch, reached base 4 times. The 1-0 misses low and in. It's 2-0. I got a chance to talk to Gonzalez before the game. We were talking about how he gets plunked so frequently for a small guy at the top of the order, and he thinks it's because he's been so effective at driving the ball the other way. Pitchers are trying to pitch him inside, and they're just getting away from it a little bit as that inside fastball catches the corner 2-1. It's hard to pitch inside, and that's one of the most difficult arts of any pitcher. And sometimes you lose it a little bit arm side, and that's why he's been getting plunked. A lot of them have been in 2-strike counts, full counts, you name it. The 2-1, fouled away, out of play, it's 2-2. And there really is no way to pitch this man. He can hit it all over, so you can understand why they're trying to bust it in with these wood bats. That might be your only hope against a guy like Nick Gonzalez, who leads the Cape League in virtually every category. He's first in hits with 47, runs with 35, extra base hits with 20, total bases with 84. He flares one out into right field, down the line, running over is Palmer, and he makes the grab just in front of foul territory for out number 2. So Anu and Gonzalez are retired, and now it's Matt Mervis, the first baseman from Duke, starting his 2nd consecutive game. He also had 4 hits in yesterday's game, went 4 for 6, 4 singles, drove in 2 runs. A big left-handed hitter from Duke takes a first pitch fastball and lines it down the right field line. This could be extra bases, rounding first and coasting into second as Mervis. The throw comes in way behind, and he's into second base with a stand-up double. Mervis stays hot, his 5th hit in just a game in and 1 at-bat.
Well, he jumped right on top of that fastball arm. He's got so much power built up in his swing. And he's got to be so happy with his production so far this summer, both on the mound and at the plate. He's worked really hard, wrapped up his junior year at Duke, and he has become one of the crucial impact players for the Kettleers, and he will be an impact player in the postseason. Curious to see if Coach Roberts keeps him in the lineup, how he has it aligned today with Mervis at first and McWhorter playing in left field.
And here is McWhorter, who's making his first start in left field today. He takes a changeup down and away, 1-0. Mervis has been hitting .360 over his last 10 games. 9 for 25 with that double. Now he's 10 for 26. McWhorter, the first baseman from Georgia Southern who plays left field today, bats from the left side and takes another changeup down and away. Casey Schmidt waits on deck. McWhorter, the wide stance from the left side, slightly open. He crouches pretty low with his arms above his head. Takes another pitch away. It's 3-0. First base is open. McCasey Schmidt waits on deck, who's been swinging a hot bat. He's reached in 17 straight for the Kettleers. He had an off day yesterday. The 3-0. Taking all the way. It's a strike on the outer half. 89 on the fastball there from Corrigan. McWhorter finished 1 for 3 yesterday, drove in 2 runs on a single, and walked 2 times. Who didn't walk in that ball game yesterday, though? 12 walks between the 2 teams, an inside move to second base, but no throw. So McWhorter ahead 3-1. Mervis on second base. He doubled with 2 outs. A big shift with Campbell playing in shallow right field, but a backdoor breaking ball is looked at for strike 2. Noah Campbell, the second baseman, is playing about 6 feet into shallow right field. The shortstop in Hall plays right about around the middle of the infield, shading Matt Mervis, who leads off a few steps from second base. Full count, the payoff pitch to McWhorter. A ground ball over to shortstop. It's going to be a tough play for Hall. He comes in. He's actually cut off by the third baseman in King, and there's no throw. But they're going to call interference on Mervis. Wow, how about that? Mervis, who was running to third, is called for interference on a ball that there may not have even been a play at first. And Coach Roberts is livid. He's sharing some words with Jeff Merzel, the third base umpire, and he is animated out there. And you can hear Coach Roberts saying that was not interference. You can understand his argument there. Mervis just ran in a straight line. The ball was softly hit right about in the middle of the baseline at third base. Mervis ran in a straight line. There was some contact. And Coach Roberts is yelling at Merzel. He does not want to walk away yet. He's still facing him. Merzel walking away. But now the home plate umpire, John DeGirolamo, is sharing some words with him himself. DeGirolamo talking to Coach Roberts now. And Merzel still talking to him. It doesn't seem like Coach Roberts has been tossed yet.
We were just talking about this earlier today. Coach Roberts didn't get tossed last night. Tom Holliday and the pitching coach for Chatham, Dennis Cook, did, and Coach knows that fine line, but he's walking it right now.
He's pushing the limits here with Jeff Merzel, and now he turns around. And he's going to share a few more words and makes his way back to the dugout. The Kettleers will take the field now. And we'll have the top of the second inning on the other side of this break. It's been a wild one the last couple ball games. We'll be right back on the Cape Cod Base. Second. It was a wild bottom of the first there with the base runner's interference called on Matt Mervis, who is over at first base now, as the Kettleers are on defense, and Coach Roberts was livid with that call. He's been frustrated with the umpires the last few ball games, and he shared a few words with Jeff Merzel, the third base umpire. But here's Noah Campbell, who takes a fastball in the dirt and inside for ball one. So Noah Campbell, the switch hitter, bats from the right side against a southpaw Holcomb. The 1-0 misses away. It's 2-0. Campbell playing second base today from South Carolina. He's had more success against right-handed pitching. The switch hitter bats .314 from the left side, just .269 from the right side. Carson Taylor waits on deck. Riley King in the hole. It's 4-5-6 here in the top of the second. Line drive into left field, a base hit for Campbell. And he leads the second inning off with a base runner here for YD. So Campbell picks up the first hit of the ball game for the Red Sox, and now it's Carson Taylor who's DHing today. He normally plays catcher. Scott Pickler wants him in the lineup, so he's the designated hitter. As Noah Cardenas is the catcher today, he bats eighth. So Campbell stands on first base. He can move a little bit over there. Holcomb wary of that. Picks off over to first, but Campbell's back. Taylor bats from the right side. Holcomb now out of the stretch. Takes a look over and kicks and deals a slide step, a curveball. 69 on a backdoor strike on the outside corner. Runner on first, nobody out. Noah Campbell led this one off with a single out into left field between Casey Schmidt and Oviedo on the left side. 0-1 on the DH. Line drive out into center field. Parker Chavers ranges over. Makes the grab for out number one. Different outfield today for the Kettleers. Mason McWhorter makes his first start in left field. Parker Chavers in center field. Robbie Martin in right. Casey Schmidt at third base. Adam Oviedo at shortstop. Nick Gonzalez at second base. I'm sure you're used to hearing that this season. Matt Mervis at first base. And Colton Kessler gets a start behind the dish. Of course, Christopher Holcomb on the mound. So now it's Riley King. The redshirt senior from Georgia bats from the right side. He has eaten left-handed pitching alive this season. .395, 15 for 38 against Southpaws. Another pickoff over to first. Campbell's back. King was a 27th round pick by his hometown Braves as a draft-eligible redshirt sophomore. Of course, elected to go back to Georgia. Another pickoff over to first. He's from Lawrenceville, Georgia. Now trying to build that draft stock going into his senior year. He has been solid for this YD Ball Club hitting over 300 as well as a fastball tails outside 1-0. On deck is Tate Samuelson, the first baseman, then Noah Cardenas, the catcher in the hole. One out here. Middle of the infield shaded for the double play. Another breaking ball, strike at the knees, 1-1. YD coming off of a 13-run performance over Harwich. They won 13-7 where they piled together 19 hits. Fouled away. It's 1-2. Riley King had 4 of them himself. He went 4 for 5 in that ball game yesterday at Harwich. He's behind here 1-2 on Holcomb. Holcomb looking for another double play ball here in the second inning. Curveball pulled foul towards the third base dugout. Campbell on first base has 6 stolen bases on the season in 9 attempts. He's yet to show any indication of being on the move here, but a 1-2 count could be a good opportunity with the slow bender that Holcomb has. Nick Gonzalez shaded up the middle. Adam Oviedo playing the pole a little bit over at shortstop. The 1-2. Fastball over his head, just snagged there by Kessler, 2-2. King plays third base today. Can play both corners and occasionally corner outfield. Hitting .327 coming into this one. Another pickoff over to first base. He's driven 3 home runs, 9 runs driven in 32 ball games. He's only walked 5 times against 22 strikeouts. A pretty aggressive hitter. The 2-2. Campbell on the move. A ground ball over to Oviedo in the hole. A backhand scoop. The throw off his back foot is not in time. A good effort there by Ovi. But Riley King able to beat that one out, an infield single. And there's 2 aboard with 1 out.
A good skid by Oviedo to his right to make sure that he kept that ball on the infield. Just didn't have the quick enough instinct to get it over to first. He thought he might have a chance to get the lead runner in Campbell, but he wasn't able to get any of them. But Oviedo has improved in all facets of his game so far this summer. We've seen his defense come alive over the last week, and his hitting has just excelled.
It's a good point, Sam. With Campbell on the move, he could have coasted into third, an inside move over to second, nothing doing. Campbell was just about at second base by the time that Ovi had backhanded that ball. So first and second here, 1 out. And it's Tate Samuelson, the first baseman. First pitch to Samuelson, a strike at the letters, 0-1. The right-handed hitter from Cal Poly plays first base today. Hitting .211 on the summer, 1 home run, 7 driven in, and a pair of doubles. Campbell on second base, he singled. Riley King on first, he also followed suit with a base hit. 0-1, that one too high, it's 1-1. Samuelson hitting just .190 in 21 opportunities with runners in scoring position. He's driven in 6 runs. Has a chance here with Campbell on second base and 1 away. The 1-1. Curveball just nubbed foul behind home plate. It's 1-2. It's been a fastball curveball mix so far from Holcomb. The fastball sits around 86 to 88, can touch 90. The curveball is around 68 to 71. A slow bender, a 12-6 type of action from Holcomb. He's ahead 1-2 on Tate Samuelson. Set at the belt, kicks and deals. Curveball misses away. Pops out of the mid of Kessler, but no advance from either base runner. So now it's 2-2 to Samuelson. On deck is Noah Cardenas, the 8-hitter. Then the 9-hitter Sam Hall waits in the hole. Beautiful day here at Lowell Park. 83 degrees, hardly a cloud in the sky. Wind blowing straight out to center field gently. A pop-up out into right field should be easy for Martin. Campbell tags. He gives a few hard steps towards third, but holds up. A nice throw into the infield there by Martin. No advance. Out number 2. So now it's Noah Cardenas, the catcher. He's been swinging a hot bat for YD, 6 for his last 17. That's a 353 clip. The catcher bats from the right side. 279 on the season from UCLA, a teammate of Holden Powell, who was a Kettleer for a couple days. Before going to Team USA, he looked great in his 2 outings here, Sam. We wish we could have kept him. Time called behind home plate.
It's kind of crazy to think about that the Kettleers had Powell for a little bit this year. He was only here for a game, but he was dominant in that game. And Coach Roberts described his breaking ball as the best one that he's ever seen out here.
And that's high praise from Coach Roberts, who's been out here for a long time. Broken bat flare out into center field. That's going to fall for a base hit. Coming around third and scoring is Campbell. And YD draws first blood on a broken bat single by Noah Cardenas. Into shallow center field, it's 1-0.
Well, this is the YD offense. They find ways to get hits, hitting .264 as a team. And they're still feeling good after the 19-hit performance last night against Harwich. Just a couple of bloop hits in this one, though. Campbell was able to kind of punch it away from the infield on the left side to lead off the inning. King was able to leg out the infield hit after Oviedo stopped him on the ground. And then Cardenas with a little blooper into center field that scores the first run of this afternoon.
So now it's the 9-hitter Sam Hall. He's playing right field today. First pitch fastball. He's actually playing shortstop now that Wyatt Young was scratched. He was slated to start in right field, made the shift over to the 6th spot. Jesse Palmer now plays right field. The 0-1. Line drive into center field. This could be another run. Coming around third, the throw on one hop is way ahead and gunned down at the plate. What a throw by Parker Chavers to gun down Riley King, trying to score on that 2-out single to center field. And the Kettleers are able to keep it at just 1 run there in the top of the 2nd. They'll try and get one back here. We go into the home half of the 2nd. It's 1-0 YD. Do this thing here at Lowell Park. It's 1-0 in favor of YD. They played it a run.
Well, Arm, we talked about it with Coach before the game. These last few games are about managing the lineup and making sure that everybody's got enough fresh legs.
Chopper foul down the third base line, and Casey had just thrown 4 1/3 innings the day before yesterday. and did not give up a single run. Coach Roberts said before the game at Chatham his arm was a little sore. He wanted to give him the day off, and he earned it. He extended his on-base streak to 17 and his shutout streak to 17 innings on the mound as the 0-2 misses away. So he's riding a 17 on-base streak, 17 game on-base streak. Coming into this one, looking to make it 18. He's behind 1-2 here. The 1-2 to Casey. Misses away. It's pretty outstanding how much he's been able to turn everything around on the mound and at the plate. His lucky number 17 right now with the consecutive on-base streak and the earned run streak. He has not given up a run, it feels like, in over a month. The 2-2. Swing and a miss. A nice... Oh, actually, he got a foul tip there. A late foul ball call from the home plate umpire. And Casey Schmidt stays alive by the skin of his teeth.
Well, he doesn't strike out too much either. He makes a lot of contact. And he has played in 33 games coming into this one for the Kettleers. He's been so reliable and well-deserving for that off day yesterday.
2-2. That's crushed out into left field. Going back is Wells towards the wall. And he makes the grab just in front of it with about 5 feet to spare. Casey Schmidt gave it a ride, but allowed out number 1 here in the second inning.
I thought that one had a chance. He arced it long into left center field, but it just stayed in the park. It's a new position for Wells. He's not traditionally an outfielder. He began his career as a catcher and did some DHing after an arm injury, but he's been getting more time out in left field this season for YD, and a good read by him to actually make that play in the gap.
First pitch to Parker Chavers, misses high, 1-0. Parker Chavers has been in a little bit of a slump for the Kettleers. He bats from the left side and plays center field today. Chops one foul. Chavers hitting just 179 over his last 10 games. That's 5 for 28. He's been a fixture at the top of the order for the Kettleers much of the year. He's fallen now to the 7th spot. He takes a changeup away. It's 2-1. Second on the team with 5 home runs. That's tied with Casey Schmidt. Also has 7 doubles. He's ahead 2-1 here on Brady Corrigan, the right-handed pitcher from ASU. And he lines one into right field, a base hit. So Parker Chavers picks up a single here with 1 away, and now it's Colton Kessler's turn.
Chavers got it done in the field for the last half inning with that big throw to the plate to keep it at a 1-0 game, and a good job by him to just turn on a baseball, get out in front of it, and line it into right.
Now it's Colton Kessler, the catcher from Kentucky, the big left-handed hitter. Another guy who's looking to get it going at the plate for the Kettleers. Just 3 for his last 16. Strikeouts have been a bit of an issue for Kessler. He's punched out 33 times on the summer. First pitch swing, and he hits a one-hopper. It's snagged by the first baseman. Then he tags first, throws to second. They tag Chavers. What a double play there by Tate Samuelson to snag it. Smart throw there to throw it to second base, and the tag was applied. And nothing to do there for the Kettleers. They're retired there on the double play, and it's still 1-0 in favor of YD as we go into the third. Sam Niederman will take over the play-by-play duties. You're listening to Cotuit Kettleers Baseball on the Cape Cod Baseball Network.
10-3 in Cotuit. Kettleers down 1-0 against the YD Red Sox. Happy you're spending your Sunday afternoon with us. Sam Niederman alongside Arm Layton, Jacob Cohen, and Josh Rothstein running the bus here in the production booth as well. Kettleers started the game with Chris Holcomb. He works 2 innings and allows 1 run on 4 hits. Walked 1 and struck out none. That's his final line. He gives way for a new pitcher out of the Kettleer bullpen. It's the left-hander Evan Justice who comes into the ball game. It's his 8th appearance on the year. 0-3 with a 7 flat earned run average. Lanky one out of NC State, 6'4", 190 pounds. A junior and a native of Richmond, Virginia. He's against the top of the YD order here. Jake Palmer, Brad Beasley, and then Austin Wells. 1, 2, and 3 due up for the Red Sox, who took a 1-0 lead back in the first on the RBI single by Cardenas. Justice out of the pen. He last pitched on Thursday. That was when the Kettleers took a 9-1 beating against Harwich. Wind up against Palmer in the first pitch. Fastball just inside, 1 ball and no strikes. Palmer came into the game as a substitute for the scratched Wyatt Young, who was originally supposed to be the leadoff man. Left-handed batter walked against Holcomb to lead off the game. 1-0. Fastball at 89 miles an hour, just on the top left corner of the zone for a called strike. 1-1 on Palmer. Right fielder out of UC Irvine. A .276 batter so far on the season. Casey Schmidt plays in on the edge of the grass at third. Everybody else straight up on the infield. 1-1 breaking ball. Dropped into the zone for a strike. Justice gets ahead. 1-2 on Palmer. Kettleers under the sun on an 80-degree day in Cotuit. Home white uniforms trimmed in the maroon pinstripes. YD in the road red tops on white pants, blue socks as well. 1-2 fastball, poked over to third on the ground. Schmidt charges, clutches, and fires. Just a little high, but a good catch by Mervis for out number 1.
You see how confident he is in his arm? He knows he can just take his time and then pick it up and just fire it across the diamond. We saw him running it up to 94 on the mound last outing. He just continues to show more arm strength as the season goes on, and that's not very typical. Most guys are getting tired around this time of the year.
He is such a clubhouse presence for this Kettleer squad, Casey Schmidt, and he moves from such joy. Just has so much fun playing out there. 1-0 YD, top 3, 1 out, nobody aboard, and here's the number 2 batter, Brad Beasley. Right-handed batting right fielder takes a slider on the inside corner for a strike. Beasley 0 for 1. He grounded out to Schmidt at third base in the first for a 5-4-3 double play. 0-1 slung outside. 1 ball and 1 strike. Mike Roberts has described Casey Schmidt as a big league level third baseman, both with his glove and his bat. 1-1. Fastball rocketed out to left field, and it's a home run for Beasley. He kisses that thing all the way into the trees, and YD doubles up their lead, 2-0 here in the third.
And he got every bit of that. It was a breaking ball that just hung over the inside part of the plate, and he just dropped the barrel on it. Absolutely crushed there by Beasley, and a good job to take advantage of that mistake there from Justice, who that curveball we see sometimes just stays in the zone too long.
Brad Beasley takes flight. It's his 3rd home run of the season. A 1-out solo shot to left field to make it 2-0 in favor of YD with 1 out in the top of the 3rd inning. So now here's Austin Wells, left-handed batting left fielder from Arizona, 0 for 1 with a pop out to first. He looks at a curveball downstairs, ball 1. YD already generating 2 runs on 5 hits. Bases empty with 1 away. Kettleers play the infield back. Schmidt a little more towards second base, letting up some room on the left field line past his position. 1 ball and 1 strike on Wells. Prime candidate for the league's top pro prospect award. He could be an MVP candidate along with Nick Gonzalez as well. 1-1 breaking pitch, just a little inside at 76 miles an hour. Wells ahead in the count, 2 balls and a strike. 3rd in the league with 7 home runs, 25 RBIs to go along with that, and a .326 batting average. 2-1 fastball lifted into the gap, left center field. Shavers sprints towards the fence and watches it bounce off the base of the wall. Austin Wells coasts in with a 1-out double, and YD's offense started to make their mark here at Lowell Park.
I think he could be the 2nd most fun guy to watch in this entire Cape League. Obviously, we're biased with Nick Gonzalez, but Wells is right there. That's his league-leading 12th double, and he just mashes the ball to all fields. Another guy that hits for power, but he won't tell you he's a power hitter. He will tell you he's a line drive hitter that sometimes hits home runs, and that's what Albert Pujols always said about himself, and I bet you Nick Gonzalez says the same thing.
He's been a machine for YD. Basically the Nick Gonzalez of the East. Austin Wells checks in with his 12th double on the year. He's the league leader in that category, as Arm told you, and he's now on second base with one away. And YD up 2-0 in the third inning. Noah Campbell's the next batter. Colton Kessler goes out to the mound to talk with Justice for a moment. Wells 6'1", 200 out of Las Vegas. Just wrapped up a stellar freshman season with the Arizona Wildcats, and he's translated his performance onto the Cape. Noah Campbell, the switch hitter out of South Carolina, climbs in from the right side. Up against another lefty. This time it's Justice. He singled off a Holcomb and scored in the second inning. 2-zip YD with one out and a man on second here in the third. Justice works out of the stretch. Gonzalez shades Wells at second base. Little North Carolina rivalry here with NC State on the mound. Opposite South Carolina and Campbell at the plate, but a North Carolina native from Durham. He shows bunt and pulls it back. Looks at a curveball for ball one. Campbell's father, Darren, actually played at North Carolina under Mike Roberts back in the day. Played under coach in the 80s. Noah decided to make his own mark, going to the rival state and the Palmetto State to play for the South Carolina Gamecocks. 1-0, sliced against the shift into right field. That's down for a base hit. Hellwell stays put at third base, and Campbell picks up his second hit of the day, a one-out single off the end of the bat into right. So YD keeps on moving here at the plate. First and third with one away in the third inning. Carson Taylor, the DH, comes to the plate from the right side. Kettleers down 2-0. A solo home run by Brad Beasley in this inning to double up the YD lead. Here comes Coach Roberts out of the third base dugout. He wants to meet with his infield and Evan Justice. Both of these teams in second place in their respective divisions. YD's in second in the East, 2.5 games out of Chatham, just 3 points back for first. Chatham, the only team in the East that has clinched a playoff spot. YD 21-16-3. Could somehow find a way to defend their 2019 or 18 rather division championship. The Kettleers are 4.5 games out of Falmouth for first place. 7 points back with only 4 games to go after this one, but 3 of them are against the Commodores. Kettleers are not mathematically out it for first place, but realistically, Cotuit's jockeying with Wareham, who they lead by 1 point for second place and home field advantage in the first round. Mike Roberts wraps up his mound visit. John DiGirolamo, the home plate umpire, tells him he's only got one more left. Or that's his first one, actually. And he goes over to the third base dugout and lets his lefty out of NC State keep moving here. Infield comes in for Cotuit. 2-0 YD, one out in the top of the third. Mervis holds on the runner at first and Campbell. Everybody else plays in on the infield with Gonzalez directly behind the mound, leaving a huge gap on the right side for Carson Taylor, the right-handed batting DH. Justice out of the stretch, and he tosses over to first to check on Campbell, who just steps in standing up. YD with one run on the RBI single from Cardenas in the second. Another run here in the third on the solo home run by Beasley. Taylor looking to add to it, 0 for 1 with a fly out to center. Justice ready out of the stretch. Pitch one. Breaking ball way outside. 1 ball and no strikes.
Justice has just not been able to get on top of that breaking ball at all. Continues to miss arm side on it. It's not a really good sign. If you're Evan Justice or the Kettleers, he's just not looking locked in there. He needs to try and recapture the strike zone, whether it's with a fastball or whatever he can throw here.
1-0 fastball at 91 miles an hour, and he got the batter to chase it. 1 ball and 1 strike. The Kettleers have shifted the infield 3 players lined up on the left side for the right-handed batter and Taylor. Mervis holds on at first. All kinds of dirt on the right side of the infield. Schmidt, Oviedo, and Gonzalez on the left. First and third with one away. Here's the 1-1. Fastball golfed into short left center field. McWhorter comes in for it, so does Chavers, and Parker makes the play for out number 2. Wells stays put at third base. He thought about going home, but Chavers has already thrown out one man at the plate, and he wasn't going to test him again. 2 down with the runners on first and third, and here comes Riley King.
Big out there for Cotuit and Evan Justice, the second out there. To take away the sac fly, the infield can now breathe and go back, and Evan Justice needs to keep this at a 2-run ball game because we know the Kettleers are going to need to hit against this potent offense in YD.
2 runs on 7 hits and no errors for YD already. No runs on 3 hits and no errors for the Kettleers. We're in the top of the third, 2 outs and runners on first and third. 1 run already home in this inning on the Beasley solo jack to left field. Riley King, the all-star third baseman out of Georgia, back at the plate, 1 for 1 with an infield hit. Justice looks over to first, and Campbell crouches back in safely. Sunday matinee baseball at Lowell Park. Third base grandstand packed to the gills. Corners are full. It was host family appreciation day before the ball game. Justice holds. First pitch to King. Breaking ball outside. 1 ball and no strikes. Every single host family that has hosted a Kettleer player this summer was honored before the game. Everybody took pictures with their players, and a great sight to see. Host families noted as the backbone of the Cape League. Every single team does it. It's one of the great traditions of this summer baseball league. 1-0 fastball on the outside corner for a strike. 1-1 on Riley King. There's activity in the Kettleer bullpen. Cole Beaven, a right-hander, getting loose. We saw him a little bit on Wednesday in the loss at Brewster. 2-0 YD, top 3. 2 outs and runners on the corners. Justice looks to Campbell at first, now to the plate. 1-1. Little cute shot on the ground to short. Oviedo flips on to second for the easy out, and that's out number 3. A 6-4 fielder's choice to end the inning, but YD strikes for another. Brad Beasley with a solo home run. 1 run on 3 hits, no errors, and a couple left on the corners. And we're on to the bottom of 3. Kettleers come to the plate on the other side of this break. Be right back in just a moment on the Cape Cod Baseball Network. Kettleers down 2-0 against YD. Bottom of the order due up for Cotuit in this inning. Robbie Martin, Adam Oviedo, and then Arajanu back at the top against the right-hander Brady Corrigan. Corrigan starts off with a slider inside on Martin. 1 ball and no strikes to the left-handed batting right fielder out of Florida State. Martin just making his 11th appearance on the season, his 4th start overall. 1-0 from Corrigan. 89-mile-an-hour fastball that runs inside. 2 balls and no strikes. Martin 3 hits and 19 at-bats. Came here late after a World Series run to Omaha with the Seminoles. 2-0. Fastball, high and outside. 3 balls and no strikes. Martin, 6'3", 200 pounds. Wrapped up a stellar freshman season in which he hit .340 with 4 home runs and 54 runs batted in. Corrigan's 3-0. Fastball nowhere close on the inner half of the plate. And it's a 4-pitch walk to Martin to start things off for Cotuit in the bottom of the third. Martin was second on his team in batting average. Only former Kettleer Mike Salvatore led the club with a .341 mark, and he split time with this man at the plate last year, Adam Oviedo, this year's everyday shortstop. A .257 hitter with 3 home runs and 17 runs batted in. A superb night for him last night. 3 singles and 4 at-bats, 3 runs scored, and 1 run driven into the number 9 spot. Corrigan out of the stretch, closed off. And a first pitch changeup in the dirt. Ball 1 on Oviedo. Kettleers stranded a runner on second base to begin the first inning. Matt Mervis knocked a 2-out double and then was called down on interference on a ground ball to the left side that ended the inning. Double play by Colton Kessler. A ground out to first base ended the second. 1-0. Sweeping slider down and out. 2 balls and no strikes on Oviedo. It's 2-0 YD in the bottom of the third. 1 man on first with nobody out. 6 consecutive balls out of the gate for Corrigan here in this third inning. A 4-pitch walk to Martin, and now a 2-0 count on Oviedo. Righty kicks and deals. Fastball on the outside corner for a strike. 2-1. Riley King plays in by a step in the shadows at third base. Tate Samuelson holds on at first. Campbell pinches towards second base. Hall plays straight up at shortstop. Corrigan leans in and comes set, wiggles the mid a little bit, posts up the left leg, and delivers. 2-1, grounded on the right side. Samuelson goes off first, throws to second, and gets Martin in the nick of time for out number 1. Tate Samuelson ranges off first base for the second time this afternoon. He sparked the 3-6 double play back in the second that ended that inning. This time he gets out number 1 here in the third on a 3-6 fielder's choice to get Martin at second.
Nice play there, showing the mobility at first base, able to get way down over towards second base and make the throw on the run and get the lead out there. The Kettleers easily could have had some business brewing here with 2 on and nobody out.
Oviedo advances to first, a 3-6 fielder's choice. 1 man on with 1 out. Here's Arajanu. He takes a fastball on the outside corner for a strike. 2-0 YD, bottom 3, 1 man on with 1 away. Anu's 0 for 1, lined out to shortstop in the first. Corrigan looks over at Oviedo, still held on by Samuelson. 0-1 pitch. Fastball, just a touch outside. 1 ball and 1 strike on Anu. YD opened up the scoring in the second. Noah Cardenas with an RBI single. The Red Sox doubled it up in the third. A 1-out solo home run by Brad Beasley. Corrigan's 1-1. Breaking pitch, that runs away. 2 balls and a strike on Anu. Araj, the big burly switch hitting DH out of the University of Kentucky, just wrapped up his second season at Wallace Community College in Dothan, Alabama. Set to transfer to Lexington in the fall. 2-1. Fastball lifted in the air, down the left field line. King races back for it, and he is able to somehow make the play in foul territory for out number 2. Oviedo skids back into first and slides feet first. He's not doubled up. But what a play by Riley King to point that one out of the air and somehow make a play on the run for out number 2.
It gets tough over there with the shadows. There's a lot of space and foul territory down the line, and just great job to track that one down and make the play with so much space down there to cover.
Here comes your leading MVP candidate. Nick Gonzalez with a man on first and 2 outs. Great play by King, puts down Anu. 2-0 YD, and Gonzalez from the right side 0 for 1 today with a fly out to right field. Corrigan starts him off with a pitch out on the outside part of the plate. A hard fastball to try and see if they could get anything on Oviedo. He's at first still. 1 ball and no strikes. Gonzalez, a 5'10 junior from Vail, Arizona, from just south of Tucson. And he looks at the 1-0, a breaking ball at the shins, 2 balls and no strikes. 3 for 5 last night with 4 runs driven in and a triple. Leads the Cape League in runs, hits, OBP, and slugging. Kettleers down 2-0 in the bottom of 3. 1 man on with 2 away. And it looks like Corrigan wants no part of Gonzalez, at least to start this at-bat. Another fastball outside, 3-0. Fastball down and away. Ball 4 to Gonzalez. He works a 2-out walk and goes down to first base to keep the inning going for the Kettleers. First and second with 2 down now, and Matt Mervis back at the plate.
Doesn't get much easier for Corrigan here with the Kettleer lineup. After Nick Gonzalez, Matt Mervis has been swinging as hot of a bat as anybody. And then Mason McCorder and Casey Schmidt. The top of this order can be really potent when all those guys are clicking on all cylinders.
Well, we saw it last night. The top 3 were able to drive in 7 of the 10 runs scored for Cotuit in the win against Chatham. Matt Mervis had a 4 for 6 night. He's 1 for 1 already today with a big double in the first. He looks at a breaking pitch outside, 1 ball and no strikes. Whitey extended their lead to 2-0 in the top of the 3rd inning. Brad Beasley with a solo home run. Kettleers trying to get back into it with Gonzalez on first and Oviedo on second. 2 down. And Corrigan's 1-0 to Mervis. Breaking ball that loops outside. 2-0. Campbell plays 6 feet into the outfield at second base. Whitey with the shift on the left-handed batter and Mervis, who jacks the 2-0 high into the air. It's right behind first base. Samuelson has a beat, and the catch for out number 3. Kettleers can't get anything home with a couple of walks in this inning. No runs on no hits, no errors, and 2 men left on base. And we play 3 at Lowell Park. Whitey 2, and the Kettleers nothing. Back with the 4th on the other side of this break. Lowell Park, top of the 4th inning, 2-0 Whitey over Cotuit. Whitey's back at the plate with the bottom of the order in this inning. Samuelson, Cardenas, and then Hall. 7, 8, 9 to face the lefty, Evan Justice. Justice ready to work his 2nd inning of relief out of the bullpen. Chris Holcomb went the first 2 innings. Justice allowed 1 run on 3 hits. It was the Beasley home run that doubled up the Whitey advantage in the top of the 3rd. Top 4 here, and here's the right-handed batting first baseman Tate Samuelson. He takes a curve in the dirt, 1 ball and no strikes. Hope you had a great weekend so far. It's Sunday afternoon in the village of Cotuit. Lowell Park is humming. A good crowd on hand for the second-to-last home game of the regular season for the Kettleers. 1-0 fastball yanked into left field. That's a base hit for Samuelson. Tate Samuelson produces the 8th hit of the afternoon already for Whitey, a leadoff single in the top of the 4th.
These guys can hit, we know that, and the Kettleers have had some opportunities to put in to cash in on some runs, but they have not been able to yet, and they're going to need to because YD will be difficult to keep at 2 runs this whole ball game. You can't expect that out of your pitching staff.
Noah Cardenas responsible for one of the 2 runs scored today, an RBI single his first time up in the second. 1 on with nobody out. Justice checks on Samuelson with a chest-high throw to Mervis. YD by 2, 2-0, top 4. Cardenas, the right-handed batting catcher out of UCLA with no batting gloves and some white wrist tape on his left wrist. He looks at a fastball from Justice for strike 1. No balls in 1 strike. Kettleers jockeying with Wareham for second place in the West Division. Falmouth probably has the division title in hand, up 4.5 games on Cotuit. It gets really interesting starting tomorrow for the seeding in the West. Justice is 0-1. Cardenas looks at a breaking ball in the dirt. It gets away from Kessler on the left side, and Samuelson rounds into second base.
That's nearly an impossible ball to block for the catcher, Colton. Basically yanking it towards the feet of the right-handed batter, and it's glove side there. You can't get your body in front of that, and Kessler did everything he could to try and body it, but Justice has to give him a chance out there, and he just seems like he does not have a feel for anything other than his fastball.
Runner in scoring position now. Samuelson at second with nobody away. 2-0 YD in the fourth. 1-1. Bunt popped up by Cardenas behind home plate. Justice ahead 1-2. Wind's starting to blow at Lowell Park, and it's blowing out. The trees are dancing around in the outfield. A beautiful green tree line that is one of the signature scenic views here at LP. This pristine baseball diamond planted in the middle of a forest just off Main Street in the village of Cotuit. Samuelson off second. Gonzalez shades him. Leans in, now backs off. Mervis plays in at first. Schmitty creeping in at third as well. And Justice delivers a breaking ball low to even the count on Cardenas, 2-2. The Kettleers go to Wareham to play the Gatemen tomorrow. That game very well could decide who gets second place and home field advantage in a prospective first-round series between the 2 clubs. Then Cotuit finishes the season with 3 consecutive games against Falmouth, a home game on Tuesday and a doubleheader to close out the year on Wednesday at Falmouth. High fastball 3-2 on Cardenas. What's ironic is that Wareham and Falmouth both have to play on August 1st, the designated off day before the postseason, but with all the rainouts in the Cape League this year, there's nowhere to hide, and you've got to play all 44 regular season games, so the Gatemen will host the Commodores on August 1st, and then both of those 2 will get ready for the playoffs the next day. 3-2. Fastball, hitting the air to left. McQuarter goes back, camps under it, and bags it for out number 1. One man down in the top of the 4th inning. Justice gets Cardenas to fly out to deep left field. Samuelson remains at second base. And here's a number 9 batter, Sam Hall, the shortstop. And it'll be interesting to see who gets that home field between Cotuit and Wareham. It'd take a miracle for the Kettleers to win the Western Division. Game at Wareham tomorrow is 6:45 p.m. first pitch. Then the Kettleers have 3 in a row against Falmouth, 1 at home and 2 on the road. Justice's first pitch to Hall. Fouled back, strike 1. Wareham is playing a doubleheader with Hyannis today. Wareham already booked a 7-1 win in Game 1. Game 2 just getting underway. Both of those games at McKeon Park in Hyannis. And then Wareham plays Bourne and Falmouth after the Monday night matchup against the Kettleers. Man on second with 1 away in the 4th. 0-1 from Justice. Breaking ball, low and outside. 1 ball and 1 strike on Hall. Hall's 1 for 1 with a single back in the second. Could have been a run-scoring single. Instead, Riley King was thrown out trying to score from second by Parker Chavers, who planted a bullet at home plate from center field. Justice holds, looks back at Samuelson at second. Infield plays back. 1-1 fastball upstairs. 2 balls and a strike on Hall. 2-0 Whitey in the visiting half of the fourth inning. Samuelson a leadoff single. He advanced to scoring position after a wild pitch. Cardenas flew out to left field. Infield plays back with a 2-1 count. Justice looks over to second, now to the plate. Kicks and drives it, and it's a fastball inside, 3-1. Nearly got the batter in Hall. And Kessler had to leap up from his crouch and snag that thing out of the air. Whitey ahead 2-0. Samuelson the leadoff hit on second base. One down in the fourth. Here's a 3-1. Breaking ball outside. Ball 4 to Hall. Evan Justice has walked his first batter of this day. It's a second walk issued by the Kettleer pitching in this game against Whitey. And now the Red Sox flip it over to the top of their order with Jake Palmer, who's got 2 on with only 1 out.
And Justice has to give his offense a chance here, keep this ball game within a few runs. Really important to bridge the gap here, at least get one more inning under his belt. We said it was going to be a committee. We knew it was going to be today, but he needs to get at least one more inning under his belt without letting this game get out of hand.
The wind is still blowing out. Whitey with a chance to add to a 2-0 lead in the fourth. First and second with 1 away. Jake Palmer at it again. Left-handed batter takes a fastball low and in, ball 1. Palmer 0 for 1. He walked to begin the game and grounded out to third his last time up in the third inning. Both runners lead without anybody holding. Mervis plays back at first. Oviedo shades the lead runner and Samuelson at second. Justice stares that way, now zones back into the plate. 1-0. Fastball nipped foul. Just in front of the first base dugout, 1-1. It's been a busy summer at Lowell Park. Another great crowd. They will turn out for the postseason. At least one more guaranteed game in Cotuit after Wednesday's home regular season finale against Falmouth. Could be 2 depending on how the series shakes out. And if the Kettleers clinch a 2 seed for home field advantage in the first round. 1-1. Palmer shows bunt and does not connect. Snapback throw to second from Kessler. And Samuelson is out. Oh my goodness, what a play by Colton Kessler. He gunned it all the way down to second base. Oviedo applies the tag. Samuelson caught off trying to dive back in. It was a bang-bang play, and that's out number 2 here in the fourth inning.
Kessler showing off the cannon there, a really smart play. Samuelson was leading off the bag, anticipating the bunt, but the batter bunted right through it in Palmer, and he was already leaning towards third base. Kessler just snapped that throw behind him at second and stolen out. A big second out here for the Kettleers.
It's a huge second out. Runner on first still for YD. Palmer now on a 1-2 count, unable to get the bunt down. Samuelson was playing heavy towards third, and then Kessler roped it down to second, where Oviedo tagged the base runner for the second out of this inning. Here's a 1-2. Now a throw over to Mervis at first. Relay to Oviedo, and they got him again. 1-3-6. And that retires the side here in the fourth. Evan Justice picks off over to first base. Matt Mervis combines with Adam Oviedo for the third time in just over 2 games to get a runner on the base paths. And the Kettleers find a way to finagle out of this fourth inning. No runs on 1 hit, no errors, and nobody left on base for the YD Red Sox. We're out of the home half of the fourth. Cotuit's at the plate when we return on the Cape Cod Baseball Network. Sox. Cape League action on the Cape Cod Baseball Network is sponsored by Cape Cod Healthcare. Cape Cod Healthcare, expert physicians, quality hospitals, and superior care. And by Curry College. You can visit online at curry.edu. New pitcher on for YD. That's it for Brady Corrigan. He starts in 3 innings, doesn't allow a run on 3 hits, walked 2, and struck out none. And it gives way to a right-hander from Hofstra University, number 25, Jack Jett, 6'4", 220 pounds, a senior from Lancaster, Virginia. And he's opposite 4, 5, and 6 in the Kettler order in this frame. McQuarter, Schmidt, and then Shavers. Solo home run by Brad Beasley in the 3rd. That's the latest score for YD. Couple of base running blunders and good throws from Colton Kessler and a pickoff from Evan Justice got the Kettleers out of the top of this 4th inning. Here's Mason McQuarter, who waves through a fastball for strike 1. Jet checks in at 88 miles an hour on the gun. McQuarter is 1 for 1 on the afternoon, according to the official scoring. He grounded to 3rd in the 1st inning, but they gave him an infield hit. It was the final out of the inning, thanks to an interference call on the base runner from 2nd in Matt Mervis. Another fastball on the outside corner. This time McQuarter takes. No balls and 2 strikes. Jet looks in for the sign from Cardenas. Now picks the ball out of his tan mitt. Winds and delivers. 2-strike fastball low into the backstop. 1-2. It's been forever since the Kettleers have played YD. All 3 previous games between these 2 clubs came on opening week. The Kettleers defeated YD on opening day 4-3. It was Adam Oviedo who came up with a game-winning 2-run single in the 7th inning of that one, a 4-3 win. 1-2 breaking ball, dropped right down the heart of the plate. Strike 3 called on McQuarter. And Jet starts things off with a strikeout here in the 4th. That's a good start for your Cape League debut. Jack Jett with a strikeout looking of McQuarter in his first ever out recorded in the Cape Cod Baseball League. And now he's up against the number 5 batting 3rd baseman for the Kettleers, Casey Schmidt. Schmidt 0 for 1 today with a fly out to left field to begin the 2nd. First pitch from Jett. Popping curveball that never came back down to the zone at 71 miles an hour. 1 ball and no strikes. YD ahead 2-0. 1 out and the base is empty in the bottom of the 4th. King plays in by a step at 3rd and now backpedals. 1-0. Fastball upstairs the letters. 2 balls and no strikes on Schmidt. Kettleers finished up their other 2 games against YD on Father's Day. It was a doubleheader at Red Wilson Field. YD won the first game 7-2, and then both clubs tied in the 2nd game. That was a game in which Cotuit picked themselves up trailing by a score of 8-5 heading into the final 7th inning of play. The Kettleers rallied to score 4 runs with 2 outs in the 7th and took the lead 9-8 heading into the home half of 7. But then YD tied the game at 9 apiece on an error at second base. And that's how the game ended. No lights at Red Wilson Field either. Sharp ground ball on the left side, picked out by King. He ranges over to his left and makes a good throw to retire Schmidt. Schmidt grounds out to his own position, and that's out number 2 in the bottom of the 4th. The wind keeps on howling here in Cotuit. It is really blowing out. The sun's starting to go down on the 3rd base side. Shadows across the left side of the diamond, extending out past 3rd base and into deep left field. Parker Chavers next up, and he looks at a curveball on the inside corner. Ball 1. Chavers 1 for 1, a single in the 2nd, and an impressive outfield assist from center field, and that ended the 2nd inning defensively. Left-handed batter takes a curveball. This time it's a strike on the bottom part of the zone, 1-1. 2 outs and the bases clear for the Kettleers in the bottom of the 4th. 2-0 YD on the scoreboard. Jett winds up, 1-1 pitch. Breaking ball low and inside, 2-1. These 2 clubs, a couple of the winningest in Cape League history. Kettleers have won a record 16 Cape titles, Whitey with 8 of them. 2-1 fastball low, 3 balls and a strike on Shavers. The Kettleers 2010 championship, the first title with Coach Mike Roberts, came against the Whitey Red Sox. They were big-time underdogs and got it done and won it on the road at Red Wilson Field. Bases clear with 2 away in the 4th. Jets 3-1. Swing and a miss by Shavers. It's a full count. 88-mile-an-hour fastball on the inside corner. Cardenas an RBI single. Beasley a solo home run. 2-0 Whitey in the bottom of the 4th. 2 outs. Here's the payoff pitch. Fastball ripped on the ground, right side, taken by Samuelson. A toss to Jet, and he's able to squeeze in his foot to get Shavers at the bag for out number 3. Kettleers go down in order here in the bottom of the 4th. We're on to the 5th. Arms got the play-by-play when we return on the Cape Cod Baseball Network.
Five here in Cotuit. It is still 2-0 in favor of the visiting YD Red Sox. Another new arm on the mound for the Kettleers. It's the 3rd of the ball game. This time it's Cole Beaven, the right-handed pitcher from Florida State College, makes his 2nd appearance of the summer for the Kettleers. This game was started by southpaw Chris Holcomb. He went 2 innings, gave up 4 hits, 1 run, 1 earned, and 1 walk. And then Evan Justice, another southpaw, put up an identical line. He did the same thing, 2 innings, 4 hits, 1 earned run, and 1 walk. Did not strike anybody out. And now the right-hander Cole Beaven tries to change things up on this YD lineup that already has 8 hits here as we start off the 5th inning. So Jake Palmer was left standing in the batter's box after Sam Hall was picked off to end that 4th inning. The Kettleers got out number 2 and 3 on pickoffs. So it's the top of the order for YD again. Jake Palmer, Brad Beasley, then Austin Wells. First pitch is a fastball that misses high. Palmer's 0 for 1. He walked back in the 1st inning. A late move to lead off after Wyatt Young was scratched from the lineup. Fastball plunks him right in the thigh, and he'll take first base here to start off the 5th inning.
Well, it's a committee day on the mound for the Kettleers. Coach Roberts is really trying to press the right buttons in terms of making sure that he manages his pitching correctly heading into the postseason. And we're seeing some fresh faces today. Obviously, we know the left-handed duo of Chris Holcomb and Evan Justice. But Cole Beaven, the newcomer, a right-hander, getting a shot here, and a hit batsman gives him a little bit of trouble early on.
Pick off over to first base, nothing doing. So Palmer on first. He was hit by a pitch, and now it's Brad Beasley. He's 1 for 2 with that solo shot, and no doubter out to left field. That was off of Evan Justice back in the 3rd inning. now gets his first look at a right-hander in Cole Bevan. Oviedo shaded towards third base at shortstop. As a curveball misses high. Nick Gonzalez over towards the middle by second base. Not your typical double play depth. Coach Roberts playing the right-handed hitter Beasley to the pull side. Big hole on the right side over there with Gonzalez shaded up the middle. Mervis holding on the runner on first. The pitch. That's popped into left field. Pretty high, but should be easy for McCorder, who ranges over and makes the grab. Out number one.
I tell you what, man, this wind is blowing out. I think this is the windiest we've ever seen it during an actual game. We've seen it windy during BP before a game, but those trees are just waving around out there in the outfield.
A bit of a swirling wind at Lowell Park today. As Sam said, the trees are waving around. They're kind of rocking from left to right. The flagpole blowing from left field to right field. Pickoff over to first base, and Palmer dives back. Now it's Austin Wells, who doubled in his last at-bat. He hit it opposite field, out into left center, and picked up his league-leading 12th double of the summer. He has been really impressive for the Red Sox. Breaking ball just too high. It's 1-0.
I tell you what, that wind blowing out is not a good sign with this guy at the plate. He's got a lot of pop in that bat, and if he gets a hold of one to right field, you just never know. That extra push could give him his 8th home run of the year.
He's a guy that doesn't even need the win, so he could miss one and get it out of here today, like you said, Sam. A lot of juice. He's got 7 home runs. A line drive. That's a fair ball down the right field line. That should be extra bases. Coming around second and coasting into third is Palmer. And Wells slides into second base with a double. Second and third now, 1 out. So not the home run there, Sam. But Wells picks up his 13th double of the season, second of the ball game, and he just continues to mash for YD, his 6th hit in the last 2 ball games.
He's a masher, and YD picked up right where they left off from last night. 19 hits against Harwich. They've got 9 here with 1 out in the 5th inning. And it wasn't the big home run that we might have seen from Wells, but he pulled it that time and just lasered it into right field. His 2nd double of this contest, and he puts his team in business to really get out of reach for Cotuit. It's already a 2-0 game, and if you're the Kettleers, you got to find a way to get an out here at home plate with the infield in.
So now it's Noah Campbell. The switch hitter now bats from the left side. He's 2 for 2 already. Both those hits came from the right side against the 2 lefty pitchers, Holcomb and Justice. Swings at the first pitch, flares it foul over the third base grandstand. Campbell, a guy who hits better from the left side of the plate, 314 on the summer. He came into the game just 269 from the right side of the plate, but the 2 for 2 effort should bring that up a few ticks. The infield is drawn in for the Kettleers. Adam Oviedo, the shortstop, playing behind the mound. Casey Schmidt slides over towards shortstop. Breaking ball down and in. Bit too far towards the back foot of Campbell. Now it's 1-1. Campbell hitting .333 with runners in scoring position. He's driven in 16 runs in 33 chances. The 1-1. Breaking ball too high. It's 2-1. Wells on second base. He just doubled. Palmer advanced to third on that double. He reached base when he was hit by a pitch to lead off this 5th inning. 1 out here. That was on the Brad Beasley fly out to left. The 2-1 to Campbell. Fly ball out into center field. Chavers coming in. We'll see if they tag. Palmer gives a few steps towards home, but nothing doing. Chavers lobs it into the infield, and a big second out there. Campbell's not able to do his job, and now there's 2 away. The infield has some breathing room. They can now back up a little bit for the 5-hitter now, Carson Taylor. So Carson Taylor, he's 0 for 2. He bats from the left side. Taylor from Virginia Tech takes a breaking ball just above the belt for strike 1. A switch hitter as well, batting from the left side for the first time in this game now against the right-hander Bevan. hit .290 this season for the Hokies. 2 home runs, 20 walks, and only 21 strikeouts. High contact right for the switch-hitting catcher, who crushes one out into right field. Running over is Martin towards the corner, up at the wall, but it's gone. A 3-run shot by Carson Taylor, and he blows this game wide open. It's 5-0 Red Sox.
Whitey is taking it to town now, Arm. Their offense as potent as can be and playing to their full potential today, even without Wyatt Young in the order. But it's been the Austin Wells show, the Brad Beasley show, and it's kind of been the unlikely heroes with Beasley and now Taylor getting the home runs, and not to mention Cardenas with the RBI hit.
Second home run of the ball game for YD. The other one came from Brad Beasley. And they break this thing open 5-0. 2 outs here in the 5th inning. First pitch swing and a chopper to Casey Schmidt, who comes in, gets it on a long hop, fires across the diamond for out number 3, but not before the Red Sox add 3 more on a 3-run shot by Carson Taylor. It is 5-0 as we go into the home half of the 5th. Kettleers have some work to do. You're listening to Cotuit Kettleers Baseball on the Cape Cod Baseball Network. Bottom third of the order for the Kettleers here in the 5th inning. It's 7-8-9, Colton Kessler, Robbie Martin, Adam Oviedo against Jack Jett, who worked a 1-2-3 inning back in the 4th inning. That was his first appearance out of the bullpen. Now gets his first look at Colton Kessler, the left-handed hitting catcher from Kentucky, who's 0 for 1. Breaking ball, called strike. He's got a 12-6 break to it from Jack Jett, just 73 on the gun. Kessler grounded into a double play, a hard hit ball, a one-hopper snagged by Samuelson at first base, and he was able to turn 2. Fouls away an 89-mile-per-hour fastball, and it's 0-2. So Kessler trying to stay alive here. Robbie Martin waits on deck. The 0-2 to Kessler. Misses up and out, 1-2, and I'm joined in the booth by Jackson Wolf, left-handed pitcher from West Virginia. You pitched in a winning effort yesterday. Way to throw. You struck out 6. It was a little bit of a messy one for everyone involved in that game at Chatham. What's one word you could give me to describe that one?
You know, the only word I can really use to describe that game was just hectic. There was a lot of stuff going on at all times. You know, I mean, there are 2 coaches getting tossed, and Roberts is giving the umpire an earful as well. So he was probably on a borderline there too. So it was just hectic all around.
So the Kettleers actually walked 9 as a ball club in that one. You struck out 6 though, only gave up the 2 runs. And the coaches that you were referring to, Tom Holliday, the manager for Chatham, was thrown out as a first pitch to Robbie Martin misses away. Colton Kessler grounded out to second. as I was introducing Jackson Wolf, and then the pitching coach, Dennis Cook, got tossed.
Yeah.
Was there an inconsistent zone there? Was it tough to pitch? It seemed like Dave Viveros was struggling behind the plate a little bit.
There were definitely some inconsistencies, and there's always going to be some times where, every time you go out there on the mound, there's different umpires back there, so you're going to have a different zone, every time you're out there. But the strike zone never changes, so there was some inconsistencies. But as a pitcher, you got to battle through that, and I did the best as I could last night. And despite the walks, I'm pretty happy with how it turned out.
2-1's a strike to Robbie Martin. So this past season at West Virginia, you guys hosted for the first time in roughly 50 years over there. And what was that experience like? The best season you guys have had in a really long time. The atmosphere looked amazing. You guys just missed advancing to the Super Regional, but how was that? What was that experience like?
For sure, it was so crazy. Having it's always fun to have that spotlight on you, no matter what situation you're in. I've met so many great guys and great teammates. It was super fun, go through that whole experience with them. Get that whole experience going, and Morgantown, we broke the attendance record twice in the regional, and that says something for our fan base and support. So it's been a lot of fun.
So you do lose your ace in Alec Manoa, who was drafted early in the first round this past year, but you're a 6'7" lefty. You've gotten a lot of experience here in the Cape. You've been one of the most consistent pitchers for the Kettleers. And how do you feel going back to West Virginia personally, and how do you feel about the team as there's a 2-2 count to Robbie Martin, a one-hopper that gets past the shortstop, and we'll see how that's scored. It was a scorcher off of the bat of the Florida State outfielder. Looks like it'll be a hit. So going back to the question, you guys played great this past season. Do you see it continuing now and start of a trend for a rising program over there in West Virginia?
Oh yeah, for sure. We've got all the pieces of the puzzle, and that's how baseball goes. When you've got those pieces, you got to figure out how you can work together and put them together to make that puzzle whole. And losing Alec it's definitely a huge piece of our program. But I told him before we all left campus, and I told him, I was like, listen, I'm gonna do exactly what you did this year plus some.
As Ovi's plunked right in the shoulder. And the Kettleers have been hit more than any ball club in the entire Cape League. I don't know if that's something you guys talk about, but you got someone that's going to be rooting for you. I'll be following you at West Virginia. But as for this team here, this seems like a team that has a lot of fun out there. You're one of the guys that seems like you lead the way. We saw at Youth Day a couple of days ago. You were working up a sweat dancing with all the kids for about 45 minutes. Sure. And that was the day before you were supposed to pitch at Chatham.
Yeah.
You didn't care. You hung out here till around 9:30 p.m.
Yeah, for sure. It's summer ball is all about that type of stuff, man. These kids and families bring everybody out to see us play, and it's always good to give back. And any chance I can get to sign an autograph, as something like dancing with the kids out there, it definitely makes an impact. So I try to take advantage of those opportunities anytime I can.
And you're a guy that's obviously performed at every level, but what does it feel like here? Has it been like more of a celebrity allure that you've been feeling, or did you kind of have that feel at campus at West Virginia?
Well, as I was talking about Alec, he definitely held that spotlight, which is awesome for him, and I expect to, fill those shoes again, like I said, next year. But yeah, it's around Cotuit that people definitely know who you are. Like walking into the coop with your Kettleers, pregame on, and people are asking about the game and the team this year. It's really cool to see how the whole Cotuit community and Barnstable community comes together and supports us as a whole. And so it's been a lot of fun, playing in the town.
And Araja New at the plate now. The switch hitter bats from the left side. 2 aboard. Robbie Martin in scoring position at second. And what do you think of Anu in the leadoff spot? He was in a little bit of a rut in the middle of the season. He got off to a really hot start when he first got here, and now he's been mashing the ball in the leadoff spot. He's not your prototypical leadoff guy.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about that, seeing him up there?
I love it, man. That dude, all he does is produce, and then you look in the on-deck circle right after you've given up the hit to Araj, and you've got Nick Gonzalez to worry about. That's a pitcher's nightmare right there, going back to them. It's like that way the whole way up and down the lineup. So it's definitely fun to be a part of the team and watch these guys play. And same goes for the pitching staff. It's you throw one guy out there, and the next guy that comes in is going to be just as good. So it's been really fun to play for this really talented team.
So a pass ball there, and now it's second and third, an RBI opportunity for Araj, trying to get the Kettleers on the board. It's 5-0. I got to ask you, when Kyle Nicholas got his at-bat, in that crazy ball game where in order for him to stay on the mound, he actually had to actually hit because Coach Roberts burned through the DH. Were you jealous? Did you want to get in that bat there? Are other pitchers now asking for an opportunity to hit?
Listen. No, nobody's more jealous of that opportunity than me. I was on the edge of my seat watching him hit. Of course, I'm rooting for him and waiting for him to put a ball in play. But there's no doubt in my mind. I want to be the one out there. But that's so cool to see when pitchers that at this level, when it doesn't happen very often, they get out there and getting that chance to at bat.
Do you know how hard he hit that one off the bat? He actually grounded out to second base.
Yeah, it was. I don't know exactly how hard it was. I think it was in the 90s somewhere. It was hit pretty. He pieced it up. He pieced it up for sure.
99 off the bat by Kyle Nicholas. A swing and a miss. That's strike 3. A throw back behind Martin at third. He's safe. So now 2 outs and Nick Gonzalez up. So you guys were all giving him gear in the dugout. What was it like in the bullpen? Everyone was giving him batting gloves, elbow guard, because Kyle Nicholas is fully a pitcher. He's not hit probably since high school, if that.
Yeah.
And he went out there and he put some good hacks together. Were you guys rooting him on in the bullpen, or did you not want him to get a hit because you would have had to hear the rest of it for the rest of the season?
Oh no! Any time a pitcher gets that opportunity, you're rooting for him. So that's why we're giving him every. So I mean, when you get up there, you got all the cameras on you, so you got to get those leg guards, elbow guards, all that type of stuff on you. So make sure you're ready to go up there as a pitcher. You only get one shot at it, so you got to do it right.
So hopefully you get your shot. Maybe as we get towards the end of the season here.
Yeah, I'm waiting on it for sure.
As the standings become more solidified, of course, Cotuit already clinched a spot. It's more about seeding at this point, 2 versus 3 with Wareham. I got to ask you, if you were to face this guy, Nick Gonzalez here, how would you pitch him?
Listen, there's not a safe way to pitch to this guy. You gotta. It's almost like you gotta sit out there and pray to get by this guy. He puts everything in play. There's not a whole lot of times you're gonna strike this guy out. So you're just praying when he puts it in play, which he probably will. It's gonna be at somebody.
He's been plunked 9 times. That leads the Cape League as a guy at the top of the order. Do you think that's because people are trying to pitch him inside? Is that the only way to try and get him out?
Yeah, I mean, guys go inside. They're trying to handcuff him. I mean, he gets his hands out there so quick, so there's not a whole lot of times you're going to be able to do that. But I mean, you got to stay away from it, and a lot of times you try to be too fine with that, and that's when you get wild and you get hit by pitches and stuff like that. So that's his dangerous ability with the bat is a cause for those hit by pitches for sure.
Has there been an opposing player in the Cape League that you just feel like, wow, this guy's a tough out right now, or one of those guys you just don't really want to see come up to the box? I know you're a competitor and you would think you can get everybody out.
Yeah. I go out there expecting to get everybody out, but obviously there's differences between different guys that go up to the plate. I mean, I've pitched against Chatham 3 times, and they've got the top of their order is very tough to get through without a doubt. So, to be honest, it's hard to pinpoint just one, but
Tyler Dones, your teammate from West Virginia, bats at the top of the order for for Chatham and at West Virginia.
Yeah.
And he's 0 for 6 against you this summer. Have you had any conversations with him about that? Any bragging rights?
Yeah, we exchanged a few words after the game that we played here. He stole a base off of me, and then I broke his bat. So we went back and forth on that, but it's always fun to see a guy that you play with, your teammates with. You play against him here, but no. The thing about the matchup between me and Dones is he knows all the pitches that I have. He knows how they move, and I know his strengths and weaknesses at the plate. So
Gonzalez pops one up to the infield here. Should be playable for out number 3. Kettleers cannot cash in here. They leave 2 aboard, and it's 5-0 still as we go into the 6th. One last question for you, too, in regards to Chatham. You said you faced them 3 times. How do you approach that? Do you have to try and mix it up? You said Dones knows what you throw, but I feel like those Chatham guys will start to get used to what you have in your arsenal the 3rd time around. Do you mix it up, or how do you approach that?
See, I thought about that a lot when I first found out that my 3rd start, or I'm going to have a 3rd start against Chatham, I was like, well, that's kind of weird. Like, why would it set up like that? But then I thought about it. I'm like, the guys in the major leagues, they probably pitch against a team 5-6 times. I mean, I don't know how it works, but there's definitely guys in the major leagues or a certain player who's had 90 at bats against a certain pitcher. So there's no difference between that. So that's how I look at it. I look at it as if I can go out there and bring my best stuff and mix up my pitches, I can keep them off balance and do my thing. So.
And you've been keeping them off balance this year. The last few outings have been fantastic. You've been leading the way. Hopefully in the playoffs now as you go down the final stretch. We'll see the next time you throw. Only a handful of games left, 4 after this one. But Jackson, thank you for joining me.
Hey, thank you.
One of the
Thank
most
you for
fun
having me.
personalities in the entire
Of course,
Cotuit
thank
Ball
you.
Club, and hopefully we can have you up here one more time, maybe around playoff time or after a championship.
I'm always down for that. Thank you guys very much for having me. Appreciate it.
Sixth inning, Kettleers down 5-0 against the Whitey Red Sox. Cole Beavens still on the mound. It's his second inning of work, and he's up against 7, 8, 9 in the Whitey order, beginning with Tate Samuelson, who takes a curveball on the outside part of the plate for strike number 1. Sam Niederman and Arm Layton, and a big thank you to Jackson Wolf for joining us in the booth for the last half inning. That was a really fun conversation. Great to get Wolfie up here in the booth. He just pitched 4 innings last night at Chatham. And he's a joker. He is one of the big-time personalities in the Kettleer roster this year. And it was a pleasure having him up in the booth to swap some stories with Arm and get a little insight on his pitching strategy and how he goes about things. That was a really insightful conversation right there, my man.
Because we talked about that before the Chatham game. We said third time around for Wolfie against Chatham. Is he going to do anything different? And it was cool to be able to ask him that directly. And he had a very advanced pro answer to that.
Beavens 1-2, hit hard on the ground to third, spinning pick by Schmidt. Good throw to first, and he got him for out number 1 in the 6th. Smitty with defense again at third base. He gets the leadoff man to the top of the 6th with a nice, graceful spin over at third, ranging to his left. So Samuelson's now 1 for 3. Casey Schmidt with another put out at third base. He initiated a double play in the top of the first inning. That's his third play made so far today. All of them have been pretty quality. Bases are empty with 1 away. Here's Noah Cardenas, who takes a strike on the outside corner. It's 5-0 YD. RBI single by Cardenas to start the scoring of the second. He's 1 for 2 with a flyout his last time up. Defense plays him straight up with nobody aboard. Beavens wind up in the 0-1. Fastball hit back foul, 0-2. A solo home run by Brad Beasley extended the Whitey advantage to 2-0 in the third inning. And then the Red Sox tacked on 3 more. Carson Taylor, a 3-run bomb to right field to open this thing up to a 5-0 lead. Not the Kettleers' day so far. 1 out and the base is empty in the 6th. Beaven toes the rubber for the 0-2. Fastball just outside, check swing by Cardenas. Appeal to first. And Tyler Bullock says he did not go around 1 and 2. Jackson Wolf, the left-handed pitcher out of West Virginia, joining us in the last half inning. Great conversation between him and Aram. Sounds like he's really enjoyed his summer in Cotuit. And Aram, you and I were talking about that the other day, about how special it must be for a player to play in this village. 1-2 breaking ball, chopped past third, foul. A good backhand pick over there by Scott Pickler. He still got it. YD manager. This is one of the more unique places in the entire Cape League. Playing in the Cape League on its own is a privilege and an honor. It is America's premier summer wood bat league, but Cotuit is special because you get to come to this ballpark every day and practice. And not every team can just leave practice and go down to the coop and grab a sandwich, and you're playing here every day. It's got to be something that these players have got to just soak in, and they can't take it for granted. And it sounds like a guy like Jackson Wolf is living it up and maximizing his opportunity.
Especially some of the smaller school guys, they get the opportunity to play in front of over 1,000 basically every given night. You get recognized in town, and it's just an exciting feeling that some of these guys have never really felt before.
2-2 breaking ball tapped out to short. Oviedo charges, scoops it up, and throws for out number 2. Good defense on the left side of the Kettleer infield. First it was Schmitty, then it was Ovi coming in on the run. And he retires Cardenas for out number 2 in the top of the 6th.
I was just going to say that, Sam. The infield has been great today. Actually, the fielding in general, Parker Chavers with the assist, too, from center. That hasn't been the problem. It's just been the pitching so far, giving up the 10 hits. But the defense has been doing their job behind all 3 pitchers today.
5-0 YD, visiting half of the 6th inning. 2 outs and nobody aboard for Sam Hall, the shortstop from the right side. Beevan's first pitch, a 90-mile-an-hour fastball, just checked away foul. The other thing is that the atmosphere at Lowell Park is basically second to none in terms of just the crowd's vibe that they bring to it. It's such a familial atmosphere at Lowell Park, and you'll get a great atmosphere at Chatham or Harwich or wherever. 0-1 fastball on the outside corner, 0-2 on Hall. But if you actually go outside and walk around the concourse and listen to that third base grandstand throughout the game as it keeps on going, it will roar, and it creates a certain feel to the game that you don't really find in many other Cape League parks. 0-2, slider high and outside. 1 ball and 2 strikes on Hall. He's 1 for 1 today with a single and a walk his last time up.
Important for Kettleer pitchers here to work quickly and get outs, because we're not sure if we're going to be able to get 9 in here today. It's going to be close, and you need to give your offense every single chance to try and come back from this 5-run deficit.
Beevan winds and delivers. 1-2, swing and a miss. Got him on a slider with some bite on the outside corner. And Cole Beevan goes 1-2-3 against YD here in the 6th inning. Kettleers still on the short side of a 5-0 ball game. Cotuit's at the plate on the other side of this break on the Cape Cod Baseball Network. Happy birthday to Mick, frontman for the Rolling Stones. You hear him right there. Bottom of the 6th inning, Kettleers down 5-0 against YD. Jack Jett, the right-hander out of Hofstra University, on for his 3rd inning of work. He's pitched 2 scoreless frames so far, only allowed a single back in the 5th against Robbie Martin, and stranded a couple in scoring position. Next up, Matt Mervis, 3, 4, and 5 in the Kettleer order, and Mervis jacks one into right field. Palmer rounds underneath it and catches for out number 1. 1 pitch and 1 out for Jett on the mound to start the bottom of the 6th. He's now retired 7 of the 9 batters that he's faced. And he gets Mervis, who's now 1 for 3. Only hit was the double back in the 1st. Kettleers no runs on 4 hits in total today. 5-0 YD, bases empty with 1 out in the bottom of 6. Here's Mason McWhorter, left-handed batting left fielder. And he takes a strike on the outer half of the plate. 1 for 2, an infield hit in the 1st, and a strikeout looking in the 4th against Jett. Righty winds up and delivers. 0-1 fastball. Just below the knees, 1 ball and 1 strike. Don't forget to join us tomorrow. We are across the canal at Wareham. Kettleers take on the Gatemen in a crucial Western Division battle. First pitch at 6:45 p.m. Pre-game starts at 6:35. Here's the 1-1. Breaking pitch, framed away, but it's outside for ball number 2. McWhorter in the driver's seat, 2 balls and a strike. Make sure that you get to the broadcast early. Early bird gets the worm. You hear from Coach Mike Roberts. We talk to him every day before the game and get you a nice little pregame sound to get you geared up for Kettleers baseball on Mixlr.com/Cotuit Broadcasting. Sharp ground ball foul on the right side. 2-2 on McWhorter. Whitey in the road Reds with the red caps, white pants. Blue letters and numbers. Whitey on the left side of the chest. The numbers on the bottom right front panel of the jersey. Kettleers in the home white uniforms with the maroon pinstripes. 2-2. Breaking ball bounced out to second. Campbell playing back into the outfield, and it ate him up. That's the third time Whitey has shifted against McWhorter, the left-handed bat. Noah Campbell playing about 5 steps deep into right field, and he had all kinds of view to look at that ball playing deep, but instead it skipped up on him and ate him up right in the chest.
Well, that's what happens when you sit back. I know he was already playing back, but you got to come in and get it. Every hop you can eliminate from a ground ball is a better chance that it's not going to hop up on you, and it just took too many bounces and ate him up, like you said, Sam, and he played that a little bit too lackadaisically there at second base.
Kettleers get a man aboard with 1 out in McWhorter. He's held on by Samuelson. Jet out of the stretch against Casey Schmidt. First pitch curve over the back of Schmidt and all the way to the backstop. Schmidt ducked underneath it. It was 70 miles an hour, and it might have grazed the number on the back of his shirt. Instead, it's just ball 1. McWhorter goes up to second base. He's in scoring position with 1 out. Cotuit is down 5-0 against YD. We're in the bottom of the 6th. Man on second with 1 away. Schmidt's 0 for 2, flew out to left in the second, grounded to third his last time up in the 4th. McWhorter leads off second base. Campbell shades him. Infield plays straight up now. Outfield shaded a tick to the left with Beasley in left center field. Jet stares in, comes set. Bends the back right leg, posts up the left, and delivers a 1-0 breaking ball low and outside. 2-0. Sun setting behind the trees behind the Kettleer kitchen on the third base side. Arm made a point of it earlier in this inning. Kettleers have got to get on their horse. They're down 5-0 in the 6th, and with no lights at Lowell Park, we might not get the full 9 innings today. 2-0. Curveball down and outside again. Schmidt's in the driver's seat. 3 balls and no strikes. The wind continues to just gently breeze out. It was at its peak in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th innings. It's died down just a little bit. Left side of the diamond in the shadows. Right field still bright with the sun. Campbell going through the signs at second base. Stepping in towards McWhorter, who leads. Jets ready out of the stretch. And he licks the leg and turns back that way to look at McWhorter. No throw. 3-run home run by Carson Taylor. That added on to the YD total. It's 5-0 Red Sox over the Kettleers with 1 out in the bottom of the 6th. McWhorter aboard at second after an error. Here's a 3-0. Schmidt takes a fastball just downstairs, and he's aboard with a 4-pitch walk. Casey Schmidt ups his on-base streak to 18 consecutive games. He had the off day yesterday at Chatham. He gets aboard with a base on balls in his 3rd at-bat this afternoon. Schmidt on first base. McWhorter stays on second base. And here's Parker Chavers working on a 1-for-2 day with a ground out to first his last time up. YD shifts the infield just a little bit. Hall shades the runner at short, playing directly up the middle. Big gap on the left side. Breaking pitch to Chavers, in there for a strike. YD has the lead, 5-0 over Cotuit. 2 on with 1 out in the bottom of the 6th. Hall behind the runner at second. Campbell playing in the gap and right. Samuelson backs off at first. Nobody holding on Schmidt. Lots of room on the left side of the infield. King the Lone Ranger. 0-1 curveball. Tagged on the outside corner again. No balls and 2 strikes on Chavers. 1 in the 2nd, 1 in the 3rd, and then the 3-run bomb in the 5th for YD. Add it all up, and it's a 5-run deficit for the Kettleers at home. Jet looks in. Ready at the letters. Twists over to first. Schmidt dives back in at the last second. Whitey had a play on there. Samuelson crept in from behind him. right as Schmidt was walking off the bag, and then right on cue, Jet twisted over there and threw it, but just a step behind Schmidt, who had the reaction to get back in. He walks off again. Samuelson still plays back. 2 on with 1 away. 0-2. Hackett a miss at a fastball out of the zone. And Chambers is down on strikes for out number 2 here in the 6th. Two on with 2 out now. And Colton Kessler gets another crack at it. Catcher out of Kentucky, batting in the number 7 spot. He's 0 for 2, grounded into a double play at first base in the 2nd inning, and grounded out to second base in the 5th. Kettleers getting shut out right now, down 5-0. McCorder reached on an error at second with 1 out in the inning, advanced to second base on a wild pitch. Casey Schmidt worked a 4 pitch walk rather, and he's on first base with 2 outs. Hall plays directly up the middle at second, clapping in behind the runner McCorder. Now he shuffles back. First pitch to Kess, fouled away on the left side. It drifts out of play near the Kettleer bullpen. This is the 40th game of the summer for the Kettleers. 44 regular season games for the Cape League. Cotuit, thankfully, does not have to play a makeup game on August 1st. This Thursday usually is a designated off day for all teams before the playoffs get going. But the Kettleers are off, and teams like Wareham and Falmouth, fellow West Division contenders, actually have to make up a game at Wareham that day, with no breathing room before the postseason begins on Friday. 0-1. Spinner hit in the air, center field. Beasley comes in and plays it for out number 3. No runs on no hits, 1 error. And a couple left on base for Cotuit, and we're on to the 7th inning of play. YD's got the advantage, 5-0 over the Kettleers. We'll be right back in just a moment on the Cape Cod Baseball Network. In the 7th here at Lowell Park, Kettleers trail 5-0 against YD. Top of the order due up for YD in this inning. 1, 2, and 3. Palmer, Beasley, and Wells against the big right-hander Cole Beaven. Beaven ready to work his 3rd frame of this ball game. Gave up the 3-run home run to Carson Taylor in the 5th and worked a 1-2-3 6th. Palmer, the left-handed bat, stands in, and he takes a fastball low at the shins for ball number 1. Palmer has reached twice in 3 plate appearances, a walk to lead off the game, a ground out to third in the 3rd inning, and he was a hit batsman in the 5th. That came around to score on the 3-run blast from Carson Taylor. 1-0. Fastball a tick low at 87 miles an hour. 2 balls and no strikes. Palmer, a late substitute for the scratched Wyatt Young in the leadoff spot for Scott Pickler's order. Young leads the entire Cape League with a .352 batting average. He's jockeying with Nick Gonzalez for the Cape League batting championship. 2-0 fastball, tagged right up the middle. Backhand pick by Gonzo. Rears back and throws on the first. Just in time. A good stretch by Mervis for out number 1.
Nice play there by Gonzo. We haven't been able to see him show off the arm strength too much this year, but a backhand way up in the middle, up the hole there, and he fired that one pretty hard across the diamond.
He's made some nice plays this year. And he gets the leadoff out here in the 7th. One down with the bases empty, and here's the number 2 man, Brad Beasley. Might even a miss at a curveball. Pulled the string on him. Nothing in 1. Beasley 1 for 3. He had a solo home run in the 3rd inning. That made it 2-0. It's 5-0 here in the 7th. YD on top of Cotuit. Beavens windup and 0-1. Another curve, this time poked out to shallow right field. Martin charging in, and it drops between him and Gonzalez for a 1-out single. Brad Beasley picks up his 2nd hit of the day, the 11th hit for YD as a team. The Red Sox have manufactured 30 total hits going back to last night's outburst against Harwich. YD pumped out 19 of them in a 13-7 win. They've got 11 for 5 runs here in Lowell Park, and they're up 5-0 in the top of the 7th with a man on and 1 out. Here's Austin Wells, left-handed batting left fielder, 2 for 3 with back-to-back doubles and a run scored in the 5th. Beaven out of the stretch, he slides over to first to check on the runner and Beasley. Schmidt plays in at third base. Kessler gives the signs to the lengthy right-hander out of Florida State College. Not to be confused with the Seminoles in Tallahassee. Runner on the move and Beasley, breaking pitch low. Throw down from Kessler way off to the right, and it trickles into center field. Beasley trots up to third base. Kessler did throw a man out earlier in the ball game to end the 4th inning. He got Samuelson creeping off second on a snapback throw. This time he curves it off on the right side, past Oviedo and into center. And that allows Beasley not only to steal second, but to get into third on the throwing error. First one of the day for Cotuit.
Seems like Colton Kessler has been missing arm side quite often with some of those steals. He's rushing it a little bit. He did have that strong snap throw earlier, but still looking to get going behind the dish.
Breaking pitch downstairs to Wells, 2-0. 5-zip YD, top of the 7th. Man on third with 1 out now. Cotuit brings the infield in. Adam Oviedo plays right behind the mound at shortstop. Casey Schmidt in the middle of the left side of the infield. Gonzalez and Mervis in on the right. 2-0 breaking pitch, dropped onto the low corner of the zone. Called strike, 2-1 on Wells. Scott Pickler coaches at third base. He looks at Beasley, who takes a short lead. Nobody holding him on. Infield in for the Kettleers. 2-1. Breaking pitch, twisted on the ground, first base side, and it's on the right side of the chalk for a foul ball. 2-2 on Wells. Haven't seen him up close too many times, but we got a good look at him from beyond the press box. This guy's a big dude. Well built at 6'1", 200. He's just a sophomore at Arizona. Former 35th round selection by the Yankees out of high school in 2018. Would have gone higher if it wasn't for an elbow injury in his senior year. 2-2. Breaking ball low and in. Full count now. He's the East leading division candidate for MVP. Along with Nick Gonzalez. Could be a pro prospect winner. Both parents went to the University of Arizona. His father, Greg, played on the 1993 baseball team. His mother, Michelle, was a gymnast. Payoff curveball, hit in the air, deep left field. McWhorter going back, and he's able to make the play on it for out number 2. Beaven keeps Wells in the yard, but it does score another run for YD. Beasley tags from third and makes it a 6-0 ball game on an RBI sac fly from Austin Wells.
A nice swing there. Inside out, he's another guy that, just like Nick Gonzalez, is so effective going the other way. He gave that one a ride out there more than deep enough to get the run in and almost had a chance to sneak that one out of the ballpark.
We saw him go opposite field for his double in the third, then he pulled a double in the fifth. That time he flies it out to deep left, and it plates Beasley to make it 6-0 YD. Here's Noah Campbell, who pokes one through the left side. That's a base hit with 2 outs. The switch hitter moves over to the left side, and then pierced it through the left side of the Kettleers infield. An opposite field ground ball single into left. 12th hit of the day for YD. Campbell's third, and he's now 3 for 4 standing on first base. How about Noah Campbell? He came off a slumping spring at South Carolina. He came in second in the entire Cape League in batting average last year with a .364 mark. Now he's hitting over 300 again and on first base with 2 down in the 7th.
You get the sense that this past spring with South Carolina was a fluke. He looks like a guy that can really hit from both sides of the plate. Like you said, he's performed at the highest level here in the Cape. I'm expecting a big season coming up this spring for Noah Campbell.
Carson Taylor's the batter from the left side, 1 for 3 with a big 3-run home run. Schmidt plays in at third again. YD has added another RBI sac fly by Austin Wells here in this inning. Kettleers down 6-0. Campbell shuffles off first, held on by Mervis. Beaven out of the stretch. First pitch, little jam shot, bloop into center field, and that's down for another hit. Campbell rounds second, he's thinking about third, and he slides in before Oviedo's throw, and the inning keeps on going for the YD Red Sox. Carson Taylor plunks in his second hit of the afternoon, the 13th hit overall for YD, and it's all systems go for the Red Sox at Lowell Park, up 6-0, and maybe more coming with Riley King at the plate. Mike Roberts senses a little bit of the trouble. He walks out of the third base dugout for the Kettleers. Might be it for Cole Beaven. Third pitch that the Kettleers have used so far today. Chris Holcomb threw 2 innings as a starter. Evan Justice followed him up with 2 innings. Both allowed 1 run on 4 hits apiece. Beaven has allowed 4 runs on 5 hits in his outing so far. 2 2/3 innings under his belt. And he conferences with Mike Roberts and the rest of the infield along with Colton Kessler on the hill. Coach Roberts in his 16th season with the Kettleers. An ABCA Hall of Famer, class of 2015. Wrote a letter of recommendation for his colleague who coaches across from him this afternoon, and Scott Pickler, ABCA Hall of Fame, class of 2019. Longtime Cape League head coach, longtime California JUCO Dynasty creator with Cypress College in San Diego. Multiple California state championships for Pick. That's his nickname known across the Cape League, and a 6-time Cape League champion, most of anybody in league history. 04, 06, 07, 14, 15, and 16. 3 and 4 years and then a three-peat here in this decade. 22nd season for Pickler. One of the members with the old guard along with Coach Roberts. First and third for YD after the mound visit. Top 7, 2 outs. Kettleers down 6-0. Riley King at the plate. Beaven still in the game, and he gets a swing and a miss on a first pitch curveball for strike 1. King 1 for 3. Reached on an infield hit in the second. Was thrown out in that same inning from center field by Parker Chavers. A couple of ground outs. Last one to third base in the 5th inning. 0-1. Fastball ripped on the ground. Hot shot into left field. That's a single. Riley King produces run number 7 for YD. A single to plate Campbell from third. And it's the Red Sox by a touchdown here in the 7th inning.
It's been a tough one for the Kettleers, just have not been able to get these YD hitters out and make that 33 hits in their last ball game and a half. This team is just on fire at the plate.
They've come alive, and they need it. YD's pitching is a little middle of the road. And so one area of concern for this team, 4.59 team ERA, which is 9th in the entire league. Tate Samuelson climbs back in for the right side, 1 for 3 with a single in the 4th. 2 on with 2 out now. 2 runs home for YD in this inning, the sac fly from Wells and the single from King. Taylor, the lead runner at second, nobody holds on. Beaven's out of the stretch, leg lift in the 1-0. Hard line drive down the right field line, foul. 1-1. Whitey ahead 7-0. The Red Sox have out-hit the Kettleers 14-4. And this offense keeps on churning. Might be getting hot at the right time. Beaven stares into Kessler. This is his inning to get out of. Activity in the Kettleer bullpen just starting right now. 1-1 curveball on the inside corner. Make it 1-2 on the batter and Samuelson. Looks like a right-hander is getting loose. It might be one of the newcomers. Could be Jack Conley, who came in just a couple of days ago. He's up on the board for the Kettleer bullpen so far today and getting loose right now. 7-zip Whitey, top of the 7th, first and second with 2 down. 1-2. Fastball a little low. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Runners ready. Beaven's ready at the belt. 2-2. Breaking ball pierced in the air, left center field, and that ball falls down in front of McQuarter for a hit. Here comes another run. Taylor rounds all the way in from second, and YD adds on to their lead, now up 8-0 in the 7th. Tate Samuelson, an RBI single, the 15th hit of the night for YD. Back-to-back RBI singles by King and Samuelson keep on adding on to this blowout. Here's Noah Cardenas, 1 for 3 with an RBI hit to start the scoring in the second. 7 runs and 14 hits later. YD's got an 8-0 advantage. Still 2 on with 2 out. Beaven out of the stretch again. And a fastball upstairs for ball 1. Sometimes it's not your night. And that's the case for the Kettleers, who were feeling good after a couple of convincing wins over Wareham and Chatham. It's a beautiful night, though. Sun setting behind us. A soft orange sky that's faded from blue in the distance beyond the outfield trees. 1-0. Fastball just a little low. 2 balls and no strikes. Those are some nice socks that Cardenas has got on. He's got the white pants lifted up for his blue and red socks. Whitey's logo has the entire state of Massachusetts with socks in red. It's actually the White Sox script, not the Red Sox, actually. 2-0 fastball just on the outside corner for a strike.
Does that avoid copyright infringement?
I don't know, man. They get away with it a little bit. Kettleers are a little bit Yankees-inspired with the pinstripes and Cincinnati Reds old script C on the front. YD has the Red Sox name, but the White Sox logo, if you will. Foul ball on the right side, 2-2 on Cardenas. It's got a little bit of Mass flavor, though, with the state on it.
Because I remember you were saying earlier in the year that they used to have jerseys identical to the Red Sox over at YD, and they got in a little bit of trouble for that. With
the home unis actually are almost identical. The white home unis with the Red Sox on the chest. The roads are a little different. Red tops on white pants with blue trim. 8-0 YD over Cotuit here in the 7th. 2 on with 2 away. Let's see if Beaven can get out of this. 2-2. Breaking ball high and away, full count. Of course, the former Orleans Cardinals and Hyannis Mets, who took after St. Louis and New York, respectively, were cracked down for copyright by Major League Baseball, who's a huge supporter of the Cape League. They really do a great job partnering with the league. That funnels so much talent to the next level. Now it's the Firebirds and the Harbor Hawks for those 2 franchises. Time called by Cardenas right before that 3-2 fastball from Beaven. Get ready to do another one again.
You almost don't want to throw that pitch if you're Beaven, because now he knows that the fastball was coming. We'll see if he goes back to it again or tries to throw him off by throwing a different pitch.
Whitey has tacked on 2 more runs in this inning. Wells and King and Samuelson with the RBIs. 3 more, actually. Runners on the move, and there's a shot down the left field line, foul. If you kind of go through every team, their pro team comparison, Falmouth is kind of like the Pirates. Their F on the front of the hat is a lot like the Pittsburgh P. It's the same font. Wareham has a lot of Red Sox nods in their details of the uniforms, but a different color scheme with a darker blue and darker red. Bourne is like the Atlanta Braves, but more individualized, a more modern look compared to some of the tradition that you see nodded to on the Cape League. Chatham's a lot like the Dodgers or the Cubs with the red, white, and blue. Orleans like the former St. Louis Cardinals, and Harwich a lot like the Seattle Mariners with the same name. 3-2, runners on the move, fly ball, shallow left field. Oviedo twists the hips and backpedals and gives way at the last second for Shavers to make the play for out number 3. But Whitey strikes big time. An RBI sac fly by Austin Wells and back-to-back RBI singles by Riley King and Tate Samuelson, and that makes it 8-0. It's stretch time at Lowell Park. Be right back for the bottom of the 7th after Take Me Out to Ball Game here in the Cotuit Kettleers home stadium. Be right back in just a minute on the Cape Cod Baseball Network.
Classic.
It's the remedy. Kettleers need some sort of remedy here, down 8-0 in the bottom of the 7th. Robbie Martin, Adam Oviedo, and then the leadoff spot due up against the right-hander Jack Jett. He's on for his 4th inning of work. And he spins in a curveball at the belt for strike number 1. Sam Niederman, Arm Layton, Jacob Cohen, and Josh Rothstein with you from the Arnold Mycock Building at Lowell Park. Whitey's offense has been a machine today, cranking out 8 runs on 15 hits and 3 more in the top of this 7th inning. Robbie Martin takes a slider low. 1 ball and 1 strike. Martin 1 for 1 today, walked in the 3rd and singled in the 5th. Limited action for the sophomore from Florida State. And he takes outside on another curveball. 2 balls and a strike. 6'3", 200 pounds. A very projectable prospect out of Tampa. A 37th round draft selection out of high school by the Miami Marlins. Went to Jefferson High School in Tampa. No relation to Mike Martin, by the way. Legendary Florida State head coach that called it quits after 40 years. And a College World Series run to Omaha this past spring. Strike on the inside corner, evening up on Robbie, 2-2.
Looked like Robbie wasn't happy there because the scoreboard said 3-0, and he took a fastball on the inside corner.
Sweeping slider low and in. 3 balls and 2 strikes. Scoreboard was a little behind on that last count. And now it's back up to speed. Full count. Kettleers getting blanked so far. Down 8-0 in the bottom of the 7th. Infield play straight up for Whitey. Jet winds and fires. Fastball hit in the air, curving on the left side of the infield. And it's catched by Riley King at third base for out number 1. Jet gets the leadoff man. He relieved Brady Corrigan after the third inning of play and has so far tossed 3 1/3 scoreless innings, only allowing 1 hit and 4 base runners in total. 2 of them were on an error and a walk. Here's Adam Oviedo. 1 down and the base is empty, and he looks at a curveball for strike 1. Oviedo 0 for 1, reached on a fielder's choice in the third and was stranded on second. A hit batsman in the fifth and also stranded on second. The Kettleers have stranded a total of 8 runners so far today. Jets 0-1. Curveball in the dirt. 1 ball and 1 strike. YD has been raking it in on offense. 19 hits last night in the 13-7 win over Harwich. 15 hits today. Good enough for an 8-0 lead at Lowell Park late here in the bottom of the 7th. 1-1, swing and a miss at a fastball in the dirt. Oviedo behind the count. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Still a decent crowd that stuck around in the third base grandstand. Some of them started filing out after that last half inning. YD posted up 3 more. Wells a sac fly. RBI hits by King and Samuelson. 1-2 grounder over to third. King scoops and charges. What a play on the run for out number 2. Riley King, the all-star out of Georgia, coming in on the fly, and he gets Oviedo for out number 2.
And this is the best defense in the Cape League in YD. Best fielding percentage at .977 and least errors just 32.
Time called on the diamond. Scott Pickler goes out from the first base dugout to talk with Jet, Cardenas, the catcher, and the rest of the YD infield. Ton of red shirts go onto the mound. Arajanu, the next man up, 0 for 3. Kettleers trailing 8-0 in the bottom of the 7th. Pick, the longtime manager for YD, his 22nd season, and he wants a substitute on the mound for this final out here in the 7th. Red Sox going to the bullpen. Kettleers still with work to do at the plate on the other side of this break. YD 8 and Cotuit 0. This is Cotuit Kettleers baseball on the Cape Cod. New pitcher on for YD. 2 outs in the bottom of the 7th. Kettleers trailing 8-0. It's a right-hander, Michael Weisberg, who comes into the game. 6'4", 200 pounds, a sophomore from Cal State Fullerton. He's trying to get the final out of this inning against Arajanu, Kettleers' leadoff batter. Scott Pickler goes to his pen, maybe to burn a little bit of time here with the sun setting down at Lowell Park. No lights in Cotuit. YD already commanding an 8-0 advantage. That's it for Jack Jet. A great Cape League debut for the right-hander out of Hofstra University. 3 2/3 innings of work out of the bullpen. His line is done. He allows no runs on 1 hit, walked 1, and struck out 3. Arajanu, the switch hitter from the left side. Weisberg's first pitch to him. Curveball downstairs at 75 miles an hour for ball number 1. A new 0 for 3. Struck out swinging his last time up in the 5th. 1-0 fastball hammered in the air. It's on a line to right field, and Palmer flags it down on the run for out number 3. Kettleers go down in order here in the 7th. We're on to the 8th. Arms got you home on the other side of this break. Kettleers down 8-0 on the Cape Cod Baseball Network. between Wareham and Hyannis today. Wareham wins game 1 7-1, and the Gatemen lead 3-0 in game 2, bottom of the 6th at McKeon Park. Brewster up 2-0 on Orleans, bottom of the 7th on the road. Chatham trails Harwich 3-0 in the bottom of the 7th. And game at Doran Park, a tie right now between Falmouth and Bourne, 1-1 in the 6th. It's 8-0 YD here in the 8th. Kettleers bring on a new pitcher. Let's go back to Arm, who's got the play-by-play.
The new pitcher is Kevin Conley, a right-hander making his Cape debut for the Kettleers. 5'11", 175 pounds from New Mexico State, a teammate of Nick Gonzalez. The right-hander is his second New Mexico State Lobo to play for the Kettleers this season. So he gets 9-1-2. It's Sam Hall, Jake Palmer, then Brad Beasley. Sam Hall leading things off here in the top of the 8th inning. It's 8-0 in favor of the visiting Red Sox. He's 1 for 2 in this game with a single. Broken bat ground ball up the middle. Oviedo to his left. Throws on the run, gets the out for number 1.
I got to say, if there's one positive from this game for Cotuit, it's the defense. The defense has looked a lot more sharp, and especially on that left side. They always have been with Casey Schmidt at third, but Adam Oviedo has come around. He's gotten back to his old self as a defensive shortstop. And you're going to need that if you want to win playoff games. That defense will come back to bite you. You were talking about it a little bit ago, Arm, about how YD has the best fielding percentage in the league. Well, last year they had the worst, and they were one of the best teams in the league, at least record-wise. And they got bounced in the first round, and defense also played a part in that.
First pitch is a breaking ball that gets past the catcher Kessler. It's 1-0 here to a pinch hitter, Ronald Washington from Pittsburgh. University of Pittsburgh, a junior. Bats from the right side. The 1-0 takes it away, 2-0. No relation to longtime MLB manager Ron Washington, who coached the Texas Rangers for a good bit.
Went to a World Series with the Rangers.
A few. Never won it, though. At 2-0 gets the corner, 2-1. It always throws people off, us included, when you see Ron Washington Jr., a baseball player from Texas, and he's not related to Ron Washington, who coached the Texas Rangers for a good time. The 2-1. Big swing, fouls it away. Washington 6'1", 225. He's built. Plays the outfield for Pittsburgh. Was originally committed to the University of Texas, but later decided to flip over to Pittsburgh. The 2-2. Breaking ball misses in the dirt. It's full to Washington.
Well, now Ron Washington, the former MLB manager, is the third base coach for the Atlanta Braves. That's a good spot to be in. They're playing really well.
Seems to be the spot where a lot of former big leaguers or big league managers will end up. Freddie Gonzalez, who was the manager for the Braves, is now the third base coach for the Marlins. That misses low, ball 4. And Freddie Gonzalez was the manager for the Marlins before that. So the pinch hitter for Jake Palmer, Ronald Washington, walks in his first appearance.
Well, Ron Washington, no relation again, has to be just heartbroken after that 2011 World Series against the St. Louis Cardinals, the one in which they had the final strike away from winning it all in that Game 6, and of course David Freese hit the big home run. I mean, that had to be agonizing to watch that.
I'll never forget that one as long as I live. Nelson Cruz out there in right field, lunging for that ball over his head and totally whiffed on it. So that misses away to Brad Beasley, who's 2 for 4 with a home run and a single. And then Freese comes up again in the 10th inning. And I'll never forget the call by Buck there. It just said, "We'll see you tomorrow night," on that blast to straightaway center field. And you knew after they blew that one that the Cardinals were going to take the next one. And that they did in Game 7 to pick up the championship. As that misses up, it's 2-0.
There's no recovering from a big blunder like that. You see it in any kind of championship series. Even the College World Series last year, Arkansas dropping the final out in foul territory. They lost that game, and then there was no way they were going to win Game 3, and Oregon State won it.
Fastball misses away. 88 on the gun there from Kevin Conley. So it's 3-0 here to the two-hitter Brad Beasley, the center fielder. Not much of a lead there from Washington at first. It's 8-0 as that fastball is poured in for a strike. Middle of the infield looking for 2. Kettleers just trying to get 9 in here. They've got 6 outs remaining, but the sun is beginning to set at Lowell Park. No light shining on the field anymore. Just a glimmer of light on the bullpen over beyond right field as that's ball 4, and the Kettleers can't afford to walk many more batters. They're just eating away at their daylight here, and now it's Austin Wells with 2 aboard.
Yeah, if Conley doesn't find a way to get these last 2 outs quickly, bottom of the 8th might be the last inning. And I think that Coach Roberts would be okay with that, just given that you want to preserve legs and preserve arms. Whitey has this game in hand, and it's just not your day with only 4 hits trailing 8-0.
Now it's Austin Wells, who's 2 for 3, a pair of doubles. He picked up a sac fly in his last at-bat in the 7th. His 2 doubles give him 13 on the year. That leads the Cape League. As a fastball goes over his head, both runners will advance. Wells just staring down the pitcher there in Conley. I don't think he liked that went over his head, and as Conley went home to cover, he was about 10 feet from him, and Wells just looked at him.
Yeah, he stared him down. Yeah.
Obviously not intentional there from Conley. Just has not had control here in the 8th inning. The 1-0. Big swing, had a fastball up, and Wells wanted to put that one into the trees. I'm sure he would have taken his time around the bases if he did. But he blows it by him here. It's 1-1. And home plate umpire John DeGirolamo lets the first base umpire know that he needs to go into B position behind the mound. I've never seen that before, but he let Tyler Bullock know that he's in the wrong spot. So Tyler Bullock shifts over behind the mound. And I call him the captain for a reason. Whoever's behind the home plate calls the shots that day. So DeGirolamo moves him over. And now another fastball up and in. Wells doesn't budge, though. That zipped right past his eyes. And it's 2-1 here to the big left-handed hitter from Arizona, a teammate of Dante Williams, who's not in the lineup today. Conley comes set, kicks and deals a 2-1. Fastball misses low and in. 8-0 here in favor of YD. 8 runs on 15 hits. No runs on 4 hits for the Kettleers. Top of the 8th inning, 1 away. 2 runners in scoring position. Wells looking to give his team double digits here. 3-1, fastball up and in, ball 4. So Conley can't find it. He's walked 3 in a row here in the 8th inning. And that'll bring up the switch hitter. Actually, it won't bring up the switch hitter, Noah Campbell. Another pinch hitter now.
Looks like Andrew Eister, maybe.
It is R.J. Yeager.
Ah, Yeager from Mercer, that's right.
R.J. Yeager, the pinch hitter. He's been here all summer. We remember him the last time the Kettleers played YD back on June 16th. Can you believe it's been that long since we've seen the Red Sox? That was a 9-9 tie. It's been over a month since these two teams have squared off. And YD taking advantage of it now. Until it looks like they were caught like a deer in headlights. It's 8-0 here. Bases loaded, 1 out for the pinch hitter R.J. Yeager from Mercer, who swings through a 90-mile-per-hour fastball. Conley looking to keep this game at 8-0. 15 hits for YD that make that 34 over their last 2 ball games. This is a potent offense that just continues to mash the ball. A 1 fastball over his head. It's 1-1. Conley just erratic right now on the mound. Funny enough, YD actually pitches better at home which is a strange stat when you factor in the fact that Red Wilson Field is by far the smallest field in the Cape. It's small by high school standards, only 350 to dead center. A 1-1 misses away. But they have a 4.01 ERA at Red Wilson and a 5.20 ERA on the road. Sometimes baseball is just not explainable, Sam.
Yeah, it's going to be an anomaly for sure.
They do hit better at home, which is not a surprise. 285 at home, just 244 on the road as that fastball misses away. And Kevin Conley's in danger of walking in a run. It would be his 4th straight free pass. He's behind 3-1 on the pinch hitter, R.J. Yeager.
You feel for Kevin Conley. This debut is not going so hot right now, and there's really nobody to save him. He's got to find a way to get out of this inning on his own.
Needs to throw a strike here, 3-1. A fastball that just misses off the plate away. That'll walk in a run. 4 in a row here for Kevin Conley. He's laboring with 1 away in the 8th.
Well, it's good to see R.J. Yeager at the plate for YD. SoCon has produced a couple of good ball players so far this year in the Cape League. Brooks Carlson for Hyannis comes to mind out of Sanford. Underrated conference. There's a good baseball conference down there. A lot of private schools in the South. Mercer and Sanford being a couple of them.
A lot of offense in that conference. Sanford can hit the ball with anybody. Mercer, a really good offense down there as well.
They have a beautiful stadium. I was down there in
yeah.
February, and it's in Macon, Georgia, right smack dab in the middle. Nice campus and a beautiful baseball facility.
1-0 misses away here to Carson Taylor, who's 2 for 4. He has the 3-run shot back in the 5th, and he singled in the 7th. He bats from the left side here. 4 straight walks in the 8th inning for Kevin Conley in his Kettleer debut. He does have 1 out here as he spikes another, ball 3.
Conley just really struggling to find anything near the zone, and now a little bit of concern for Colton Kessler, who took that last hard fastball off the bounce. Looked like it got him a little bit.
It was a short hop there, pretty much nothing he could do. And it got him right around the gut, it looked like. And it doesn't feel good, but it comes with the job of being a catcher. A guy from Mercer that comes to mind, Kyle Lewis, was an early first-round pick. He actually played 2 ball games for the Kettleers back in 2014. He came back to the Cape League in 2015 and played for Orleans, where he hit 300 and hit 7 bombs. Boosted his draft stock, and he ended up going in the first round. He now plays for the Mariners. He's in the Double-A level as of now for the Arkansas Travelers.
The Travelers. That's some road to the show, MLB The Show, Texas League right there.
Texas League. He's hitting 274, 7 home runs, 49 driven in. I'm sure the Kettleers wish they could have brought back Lewis for that 2015 season.
Orleans had a really good year that year, too. That was the year when Kelly Nicholson was manager of the year. They won 30-plus games in a President's Cup for the best record in the regular season. They did not win it, though. Did not win it. That was YD's year again. They're second in a three-peat.
They brought Lewis in from the Great Lakes Collegiate League when he was 18. He was playing with the Lima Locos. And he hit 342 with 6 home runs and 36 driven in as an 18-year-old. And that's how he got his 6 at-bats here in Cotuit. But we've heard that story a couple times where a player will get a cup of coffee as a youngster with one team, comes back the next year, and dominates with another team. Aubrey Major comes to mind. He was with Brewster very briefly last year. Came here to Cotuit, and all he did was hit 400 in his time here, 407 to be exact. We're ready for baseball again here. It's 3-0, and that fastball is a strike at the letters, so Conley's able to settle in after the mound visit and pour in a strike, but he's still got some work to do behind 3-1 on the designated hitter, Carson Taylor. Still working out of the stretch here with the bases loaded. Conley comes set right at the chest. Kicks and deals the 3-1. Ground ball over to first. Mervis goes to second for 1. A throw on to first with Conley covering. Beats him in a double play there. 3-6-1. Unconventional double play to get out of the 8th inning. So Coach Roberts, whatever he said to Conley, worked. He gets the ground ball, and we'll go into the bottom of the 8th. The Kettleers are trailing by 9. It's 9-0 here at Lowell Park. Looks like it might be the last inning. Last licks here for Cotuit. Here in Cotuit, it's 9-0 in favor of YD. And this could be the last inning as daylight is scarce. Nick Gonzalez, the 2-hitter, then Matt Mervis, Mason McCorder, that's 2-3-4. Gonzalez is 0 for 2 with a walk. He faces Michael Weisberg, who finished out the bottom of the 7th inning. He just won a third. Got the one batter out he faced in Arajanu. Breaking ball misses low and away, 1-0. It's a Nick Gonzalez who bats from the right side. The 1-0 to Gonzo. Line drive, sinking out in front of Washington in left field for a base hit. So Gonzo picks up his first hit of the ball game, just the 5th for the Kettleers, and now it's Matt Mervis' turn. So Gonzalez hits it safely in his 3rd straight. And now Mervis, who doubled in this one, he's 1 for 3. Looking to make it 2 straight multi-hit games. He had 4 in yesterday's win over Chatham. First pitch breaking ball misses low, 1-0. Weisberg working out of the stretch for the first time in this one. Middle of the infield playing for the double play. Nick Gonzalez off of first base, nobody holding him on. Fastball misses away. It's 2-0 on the big lefty from Duke. Shortstop Hall shaded up the middle. Just about 2 steps to his right from second base. Misses low. It's 3-0 to Mervis. They're playing him the pole. With the shortstop up the middle, second baseman in Campbell. Actually, no longer Campbell. Scratch that. It's Yeager. Yeager plays straight away at second base. The 3-0. Fastball right down the middle. Strike 1. First baseman Samuelson plays a few steps behind the bag at first base. Gonzalez able to get a few extra steps off. The 3-1 to Mervis. Line drive out into center field. Going back is Beasley towards the wall, and it's over his head. It's off the wall. That'll be a double for Mervis, who coasts in. Gonzalez had to wait to see if it hit the ground. He coasts into third. Second double of the ball game for Matt Mervis. He stays hot at the plate.
Well, Matt Mervis has been slugging it for the Kettleers. 4 for 6 last night. He wraps up today 2 for 4 with a pair of doubles, and this is a big swinging point, I think, for the Kettleer lineup. I think we probably see Coach stick with Mervis at first base. You either work McQuarter in as a DH, since Joey Loperfido was having a little stomach bug earlier to get a scratch in today's ball game, but that's a good lineup when you get Mervis in the mix as well. It's a lot more powerful and a lot more well-rounded.
Well, Perfito actually tried to give it a go yesterday. That's why he exited the game early. He said he was not feeling well. First pitch changeup, strike at the knees. To Mason McCorder, 2 aboard, nobody out. Kettleers looking to finally get on the board here. Get some momentum going into tomorrow against Wareham at the very least. Nobody wants to get shut out. A 1 plunks McCorder, breaking ball, and now the bases are loaded.
What is it with these Kettleer guys getting hit all of a sudden? I mean, it's just one every game now.
Kettleers continue to get plunked. They lead the entire league in that category. Not one you want to lead the league in. And now it's Casey Schmidt with the bases loaded. An opportunity to try and get the Kettleers on the scoreboard. Nobody out. Nick Gonzalez at third. He singled. Mervis on second. He doubled. Mason McCorder was just plunked. Up and in a fastball. Schmidt spins out of the way and stumbles down the third base line. He smiles and apologizes for the delay. But it was one of those where it just came up and in, and you do everything in your power to get out of the way. And sometimes you end up stumbling. That's exactly what Schmidt did. That's going to be a ball, of course, and it's 1-0 on the right-handed hitter who extended his on-base streak to 18 with a walk back in the 6th inning, but trying to get his first hit of the ball game. 1-0, big swing. He was looking for a grand slam there. 91-mile-per-hour fastball blown by him, and it's 1-1.
My gosh, he looked like he was Barry Bonds or something, just swinging out of his shoes, just a little less graceful.
Hey, why not? Bases loaded, you're trailing by 9. Try and fill up the stat sheet at this point. That curveball misses away. It's 2-1. Getting pretty dark here at Lowell Park. I think you can say with pretty much every bit of certainty here that this will be the last one. You said before, Coach Roberts probably doesn't want to go another one either. Anyway, you can save your bullpen. That's been the big point of emphasis down the stretch here. 4 games to go after this one. Tomorrow at Wareham. Big swing again. Just missed it. Fouled straight back. It's 2-2.
Well, tomorrow at Wareham is going to be a big game because as of now, the Gatemen are tied with Hyannis in the second game of their doubleheader. And that'd be huge if Hyannis could steal one to keep the Kettleers at least only 1 point back of Wareham for the second place of the division.
Well, Hyannis trying to play spoiler. They're already eliminated from contention. It's 2-2 to Casey Schmidt with the bases loaded. The pitch. Swing and a miss. Blew a fastball by him. First out of the inning there, and now it's Parker Chavers.
Actually, it would be a 2-point deficit if the Kettleers result holds in a 9-0 loss against YD, and then if Hyannis somehow finds a way to win it against Wareham. Now, it could end in a tie, and remember, Commissioner Eric Zamuda sent out the memo a couple of days ago saying no more extra innings in the Cape League, all games going 9, and that's max.
Lifted out into center field. This could put the Kettleers on the board. Under it is Beasley. Tagging is Gonzalez. He will coast into home. And with 1 out to spare likely in this ball game, the Kettleers are on the board. Sac fly from Parker Chavers, his first RBI of the game, of course. He finishes his day most likely 1 for 3. Picks up the RBI, and now it's Colton Kessler, who is 0 for 3 himself. Mervis advanced to third there on the deep fly ball to center field. McCorder stayed put at first. Runners on the corners now. It's 9-1. 2 outs here in the 8th inning. First pitch to Kessler misses away, 1-0. Weisberg's not been able to get ahead of these Kettleer hitters in this inning, fortunately for him and YD. They have a 9-run cushion coming into it. He's surrendered the 1 run now. Just needs 1 more out to put a nail in the coffin for the Kettleers. Fouled away. It's 1-1. Fastball's been around 89 to 91 miles per hour for Weisberg, the right-handed pitcher. Kessler, who was not in the lineup yesterday, Cody Pasek made the start over at Chatham, making the start today. Threw out 1 runner, a back pick over at second base. Fastball misses inside. It's 2-1. Kessler, a big power hitting left-handed hitter from Kentucky who's really just looking to get it going at the plate. He did pick up a double in his last start here at Lowell Park, an opposite field shot. Still wearing that knee brace after the knee bruise. A ball he fouled off of his kneecap earlier in the season. 2-1 popped up. We'll see if it's playable. Over in foul ground there by third base is King. And he makes the grab, and that should be the ball game. We'll see what the call is from home plate umpire John DeGirolamo. He's talking to Coach Roberts, and he says that's the game, I believe. And that'll do it. That is the ball game. Kettleers lose this one 9-1. They finally get on the scoreboard here in the 8th, but that is it. 9 runs on 15 hits for YD, 1 run on 6 hits for Cotuit, and they lose this one at home. We'll wrap it up for you when we come back on the other side of this break. Tough one at Lowell Park for the Kettleers. They lose it 9-1 against YD. YD picks up another victory, another blowout victory. They won 13-7 yesterday against Harwich, and 34 hits in their last 2 games. Sam, it seems like the Kettleers just ran into a tough offense at the wrong time, but they really couldn't get it going at the plate. Just 1 run, and that came in the final inning in the 8th on a Parker Chavers sac fly. Just the 6 hits. If there was one bright spot in terms of the offense, it was Matt Mervis.
Yeah, Matt Mervis again, 2 for 4 today with a couple of doubles. He brings a lot of power to the table, and I think Mike Roberts is comfortable with him in the meat of the order, whether it's third or fourth, and he has produced in his last 2 starts. And given some of the depth that has been shredded down a little bit with the exit of Aubrey Major, the Kettleers now have an opportunity to fiddle with him as a two-way guy and either start him at first base or potentially as a DH so you can flex him out when he's the pitcher. There's a lot of flexibility with him, and he's a crucial player the Kettleers are going to need down the stretch if they want to make a playoff run.
Another unique pitching combination from Coach Roberts, who said before the ball game he's working to really preserve his pitching going down into the playoffs now. So it started with Chris Holcomb. He went 2 innings, gave up 4 hits, 1 run, 1 walk, and struck out nobody. Then Evan Justice came in relief and posted the identical line to Chris Holcomb. Then it was Cole Beaven who went 3. He was the longest tenured pitcher in this ball game with those 3 innings, gave up 7 hits, 6 runs, 3 of those earned, and 1 strikeout. It was Chris Holcomb picking up the loss, and Kevin Conley made his debut. He could not find the strike zone in his 1 inning of work. He gave up 1 run and walked 4. Kettleer pitching just struggled today after pitching really well yesterday, pitching around a lot of free passes over there in Chatham. It was a tough one today, and it was a YD offense, like we said, Sam, that has piled together 34 hits in their last 2 games and over 20 runs. They are at 22 runs in their last 2. It's tough to suppress an offense like that that's among one of the best in the entire Cape League.
Yeah, they're one of the best, and they got a lot of power. They've got a short home field at Red Wilson Field, and they're going to make some runs here in the last couple of games. You know, they might even have a chance to catch Chatham depending on the result of Chatham's game today. But it's just a hard buzzsaw team to face for the Kettleers against YD. Not the kind of result that you were hoping for, especially after the positive momentum of downing Wareham 6-1 and then convincingly beating Chatham last night 10-3 on the road. But you got to just put it in the rearview mirror. It's a big game coming up tomorrow at Spillane Field.
And YD did their damage pretty much in every inning. They scored 1 in the second, 1 in the third, 3 in the fifth, 2 in the seventh, and then 1 in the eighth. They were just consistently piling on all game long. The Kettleers picked up their only run in the eighth inning here, which was the last inning of today's game. Kettleers fall to 19-17-4. Wareham, with the doubleheader today, no matter what the result is of their second game against Hyannis, will overtake the Kettleers for second place. But the good news for the Kettleers, they travel to Wareham tomorrow, 6:45 first pitch. We will have coverage at 6:35. That's a big one tomorrow, Sam.
Yeah, it's going to be a big one. It's the last really meaningful regular season game. Pending the result, if Falmouth slips up today and they're not able to get the job done against Bourne, maybe the Kettleers have a chance if they can sweep a de facto 3-game series against the Commodores to close out the year, and then hope that Wareham beats them. So if they'd have to basically hope that Falmouth drops 5 in a row and then Cotuit wins out with their last 4. That's the only way I believe that the Kettleers would have a chance to surpass Falmouth for the division championship in the regular season. But tomorrow's a huge game for that 2 seed and for getting a home field advantage in at least the first round of the postseason. It's hard to play at Wareham, but the Kettleers have played well against the Gatemen so far this year. They're 1-1 on the road, 3-2 overall in the regular season series. And dare I say it, they've kind of had Wareham's number. In the 3 wins that they've beaten Wareham, 2 of them have been big-time blowouts, including the 6-1 win that we saw earlier this week. And then the only other loss that they had against Wareham, one of the losses out of the 2 was a blowout, but the other one was the 1-0 game that cruised in less than 2 hours on the road. So they've found a way to compete at Spillane Field, and I think they will tomorrow. It'll be interesting to see what Coach goes with on the mound. Do they sell out and try and really gun for that home field advantage and throw maybe a Reed Johnston or something like that on shortened rest, or Sean Sullivan for an abbreviated 2 innings and try and save him as much as they can for Game 1 of the playoffs? Or do they go with Chris Farrell and see if he can carry the load in a 4 or 5 inning outing? So it'll be interesting to see, but it's a big-time game. It's a game in which the Kettleers have got to show some competitive grit for, especially on the road, given that it could be a glimpse of the first-round matchup they might have at Wareham.
Farrell made the last start against Wareham at Wareham, and he struggled through a couple innings but was able to escape out of some jams. He could be called on tomorrow. It's going to be very interesting to see how Coach Roberts shuffles up the deck. Other notables, if you will, in today's effort for the Kettleers on offense, Mason McWhorter was 1 for 3. Parker Chavers was 1 for 3 with an RBI and a sac fly. Robbie Martin picked up a hit. And Nick Gonzalez picked up a hit and scored a run as well as a walk. He reached base twice. But Matt Mervis was the standout with the 2 doubles. Tough day at the plate for the Kettleers. Just 6 hits, the 1 run. And they now fall to 3rd place. Tomorrow's going to be fun, Sam. Any final thoughts as we get into these final 4 games of this season?
You got to love a road trip to Wareham, right? I mean, seriously, it's a challenge. It's an uphill battle. And it's one that Cotuit has got to find a way to conquer, and they'll get their bearings about them tomorrow because they very well will have to go there for a postseason game, whether it be in Game 1 of a series or in Game 2. And you're going to have to know how to navigate those parts once you get there. So it's a big game. It'll be interesting to see how Coach manages it. Another guy that probably might throw tomorrow who we forgot to mention was Trey Holland. Trey Holland could put some innings under his belt. Remember, he started on Wednesday against Brewster and was spectacular for 5 shutout innings. Would not be surprised if we see him in a starting role or a middle relief role. So it'll be interesting to see how that all shakes out. But it's a big game tomorrow between Cotuit and Wareham, a couple of rivals.
That's a good point on Holland, who's a southpaw against a left-handed hitting heavy Wareham lineup. Could be an opportunity there for Holland to have some success. So YD wins 9-1. They improve to 22-16-3. Cotuit falls to 19-17-4. Thank you for spending your Sunday afternoon with us.